Welcome everybody to Roll for Damage. My name is Sean O'Donovan and I will be your guide tonight for Ardenquest, our solar punk themed 3-shot using the quest system in my homebrew world of Arden. Now, before we get into tonight's affair, I'd like everyone to go around and introduce themselves and where you're from, where we can find you, and who you're playing tonight. So why don't we start with Kelsey?
That's me. Hi, I'm Kelsey. I'm also Roguzu on Twitter and YouTube. On my Twitter, I draw a lot of things, especially for the games that I'm a part of, or I take commissions. And on my YouTube, I talk about the first game that I ever GM'd, where my players find Atlantis and go through a lot of trauma, but also family finding. And tonight I'm going to be playing Elo and Kaladi. So, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And that isn't that always how it is? Trauma and found family. That's TTRPGs. Okay, thank you, Kelsey. Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi there, everybody. I'm Josh the Pirate. You can find me on my channel Corsair's Cove, which is a very recent and new beast. Alternatively, if you like my face and voice, you can hang out with me here on Roll for Damage on Monday evenings, where I DM the Humblewood campaign with AJ Winters, Dan Swelto, the Big Viking Mitch himself, and of course Rachel Fuka. Beyond that, if you like my face, you can come and check me out in Paparotica if you happen to live in Perth. That's coming to Fringe this coming year. And I do a podcast, There Be Dragons, where I play the infamous and deadly pirate Scan Felspar. That's who I am and what I do.
Thank you, Josh. Kevin, tell us a bit about yourself and who you're playing tonight.
I'm Kevin. I'm from Dirty 20 Gaming, where we generally stream 3 nights a week. Tomorrow we've got a premiere of a game that I'm not running, so that's good, great fun for me. I get to watch other people play and watch other people run stuff, so I'm looking forward to that a lot. And I play a pissed off ex-cop on a mission that nobody's figured out yet in this one.
Yes, we all love Terrence. Shannon, who are you?
Oh, that's me. Who am I? And where the heck am I from? Hi, everybody. Happy Friday/Saturday morning, wherever you are in the world. My name is Shannon. I'm from Paradise RPG. And my brain just farted. What the hell do I do over there? We play D&D over there. We play D&D on Mondays, our flagship show, Advantage in Paradise. Sean hangs out on Wednesdays, day of the week, Wednesdays, and paints minis, does some cartography. We have the Sean and Shannon Power Hour on Sundays, where we recap the episodes. I'm not doing well tonight. Episodes of Advantage in Paradise. Come join us at Paradise. We'd love to have you. You can find me at sroby25 on all socials. And tonight I will be playing Astrid Moreau, who never goes anywhere without her witch hat.
Excellent. Thank you, Shannon. And last but never least, Waffles.
Hello, I'm Waffles, one half of Wafflesmaplesyrup. We play Pathfinder 2e and Starfinder over on our Twitch channel and turn it into a podcast. Just search Waffles Maple Syrup, one word, anywhere, and you'll find us. Anywhere you want to find us, and you'll find us, basically. And I will be playing the Doctor, or Zazix, a skeleton doctor that hasn't really shown what he's about yet.
Yes, the mysterious doctor. Excellent. Thank you all for introducing yourselves. Once again, I am Sean. I'm from over at Paradise RPG. Didn't mention that before. Where I am the DM over there.
How dare you?
You forgot like half of your stuff.
Okay, but I made up for it.
All right, folks. So let's get started with our adventure tonight. I'll give you a brief recap. Last session, our band of strangers and oddities came together in the city of Lacuna Reef, which is a cloudport city on the outer drift floating island of Hestia. They were called together by Director Hirsch of the Willow Accord for a mission of sorts, a mercenaries mission as opposed to a more formal Willow Accord job. They went and met with Director Hirsch, who instructed them to find a safe space near the Jester's Common in a land or a region called the No No Go to set up a survey camp to begin decommissioning this area. In this world, there are areas of these outer drift continents that are called sundered zones because they are just riddled with old technology that is very dangerous and requires careful decommissioning. But part of that decommissioning is making sure it's safe for the decommissioners to go in, which is where you all come in. You acquired some goods from some interesting people on the coin of the Willow Accord. And they provided you with a transport vessel, and you flew out into the countryside of Hestia towards the Jester's Common. Upon arrival, you found yourselves surrounded by these floating bright orbs that when you got close to them, they emitted this black hole-like sphere around them and as a defense mechanism. And although they were a little dangerous, they stayed away from you as long as you stayed away from them. But you weren't out of trouble yet. As you stumbled into the forest, you found yourselves surrounded by these massive bovine amphibians, or cow-sized frogs, toads, who suddenly started to speak to you in your mind. As you decided what to do, whether to attack them or just run and get the hell out of there, they got impatient and unleashed a bunch of spore-like gas all around you that maybe put some of you into an unconscious state. Maybe. I mean, you know, some of you may have passed out. But as you began to pass out and you were dragging each other out of there, a stranger in a large poncho with a big bag on their back and a mask over their face came rushing out, picked up, I believe they picked up Elowen, because I think someone else had grabbed Astrid, and dragged y'all out of there until you found a safer place in the Jester's Common, which is where we are now. At the very end of the session, you asked this person if they were Oscar, the contact you were supposed to meet out here. The man grinned, and squirming and popping their head out of the bag on their back was a little, as the name of the episode, one furry little genius, who, with a little collar on their neck, a little robotic female voice came out and said, "Actually, I am Oscar." And that is where we left off last week, folks. So, let me just get the mood right real quick. It's nighttime at this point. The sun was setting as you moved through the forest and now followed Oscar and their companion into the Jester's Common. You can see in the distance or you can see gathering above you storm clouds hiding the stars above. Having walked through the outskirts of the abandoned carnival that is Jester's Common, you start to notice these ruined and twisted buildings all around. The roots of trees are slithering through and between the time-worn steel, stripping the past of any veneer, sparkle, or luster. The most notable feature that you saw that was leading you here is that Ferris wheel that towers above. But it's beginning to fade as night takes hold. You see all manner of rides. You see the tall parasol ride. You see the Ferris wheel. You see a big old structure that holds bumper cars, all rusted over and paint chipping off and flaking off. You see some old painted clown images that have all become quite garish and macabre over the years that this has been in rot. You see the man who holds the bag that has Oscar on it, slips it off and drops it down in front of him so Oscar can jump out, and she shakes herself a little, does a few doggy sneezes, and then you see just sort of like this, like, as she's looking up to each of you. The man is laying Elowen down and checking on her and checking on Astrid as well. What would you like to do?
I want to pet the corgi, but I can't.
You're
I-
unconscious.
I
I'm
know.
going to- I'm going to try and rectify that. I'm going to try and wake Astrid up, partially because she's heavy. And well, like I'm not a super buff person myself. It's not that you're fat. I'm just you're not much smaller than me.
I'm muscular. I do
Yeah.
a lot of tinkering and lifting and
You're
shit.
probably stronger than I am. So,
Yeah,
so
and
Freya, sorry.
go ahead.
Oh, Freya would lay Astrid down, and yeah, attempt to rouse her, possibly with a little bit of magic.
Ooh, okay.
To trying to use, trying to focus her abilities into stimulating the breathing and stimulating the mind, and sort of like trying to bring the mind back up to a wakeful state.
Excellent. Absolutely.
Sort of like
Go ahead and
like
give
a spark plugs for the brain.
Yeah, I love it. Give me a d20 roll.
Ooh, 17.
Excellent. Yes. So as you see this very large man tending to Elowen, you see he kind of looks over and sees that you just kind of have your hands around Astrid's head, and you can see these little tiny lights coming from your fingertips and your palm that all kind of just collect right on either side of her brow. And you can see like she's like has like hoarse breathing, and she's, you know, they fell unconscious, but they're still kind of affected by the spores. And suddenly you just see it calms down, and Astrid, your eyes open.
What's happened?
You breathe too deeply.
Why does my throat hurt?
You breathe too deeply.
Where are we? Did we
Somewhere-
make it?
Pattering over.
What?
Pattering over is Oscar, who kind of steps up nonchalantly for a talking dog, and very matter of fact says, "You had a run-in with the omnitoad. Beautiful creature, but quite dangerous when you're unaware of its effects." Hello.
That's what I was gonna say. Hello.
This is Oscar.
Oh, did it? You're Oscar?
Yes, I'm Oscar.
Well, it is a pleasure to meet you.
You all must have been sent by Director Hirsch.
That is correct.
Yes. You see the big man next to Elowen looks over smiling and kind of lets out a soundless laugh, as you would notice that he actually also has kind of like a collar on, or a necklace that has the same kind of speaking box. And he's slowly takes out these vials and serves something to Elowen, which would kind of, Elowen, you would immediately go into a coughing fit, and you would all see kind of like the blue spores shooting out from her lungs, as this man holds a hand out to help Elowen to her feet.
Oh, that was not pleasant. Thank you. Who are you? Hey.
You see, he just smiles down at you, a big grin, while Oscar says, "This is Red, my companion, traveling best friend."
Oh.
Oscar's
Usually
best
I have
friend.
to-
Can she speak?
Red, cannot speak, though he does have a similar voice box. As you see, the little corgi kind of like this little dog sneeze as kind of like is looking down at her own neck. I'm afraid a terrible accident took his ability to speak, but he prefers not to use the device, but prefers to use sign language, if any of you know. If not, not a problem. I learned it fairly quickly when I started traveling with him. As you would see, Red does sign something to Oscar. Would anyone's character, do you think, would know this? I know it's not something you may have prepared, but does anyone think their character might know sign language?
I think that would be cool when you sign language. Astrid likes to work with her hands, so I think maybe speaking a language with her hands would be something she'd be interested in.
Okay.
I know a few, but they're mostly really rude.
that
I think Freya would be fascinated by it, but would not have been exposed to it. Like, is watching intently, trying to discern the meaning, but has not met it. Yeah,
makes sense. Okay, then Astrid, you will know what Red is saying when he uses sign language. Right now, all he's saying is, "It's a pleasure to meet you," which Oscar would echo.
And then I would say thank you and pleasure to meet you too, whatever that sign is.
I know I want to learn sign language.
I know, me too, so
play this
badly.
character properly.
Freya would be mimicking, be watching and mimicking the hands
and you see
as closely as possible.
Red very enthusiastically nods to you, like very supportive, and you see he comes up to you and he holds his hands out to your hands as if, "May I?"
Freya
you
gives
see
her hands to him.
Red would adjust and try to help you go through the motions and then mimic it so that you could copy very enthusiastically.
Yeah, I do that.
You all would hear a crack of thunder in the distance that echoes through the forest. Red this kind of jostles Red out of this kind of nice moment, and he sort of stands up and looks to Oscar and nods to her, and she sort of she barks once and then rushes over and jumps onto his hand. He catches her and she climbs up and nestles into the backpack, and then you see both her paws go up on his back and her head come up from around.
Trying not to turn into a dog right now.
The way I want to react and the way Astrid reacts is so different. It's very
Excuse me, Oscar. I got a question before you go.
Yes.
You said
you're coming with us.
omnitoad. I know, but I hate not knowing stuff. You said omnitoad like there was only one of them, but there was like hundreds.
Oh, common misunderstanding of connected telepathic colonies of creatures. No, that is one toad.
I think I get it. Kind of like a fungus and mushrooms where they pop up all over the place, but it's all like one big mushroom.
Very good. Very good. A bit like that. There's also breeds of trees, species of trees that have similar colonies or bacteria. It's all very interesting. But again, we should probably get some shelter before the storm comes.
For sure. I'd just like to know. Thank you.
Follow Red. We have a bit of a how do you roughneck say, a hideout. Red, shall we? And Red kind of hefts the backpack and gestures for you all to follow.
Freya would, before you leave, say, if we're asking questions, what happened to them? And points at the clowns that are like, the ones that you like throw stuff in the mouths. There's a line of 3 of them. She's like, what happened to them?
And you see Oscar kind of like doing this in the backpack, and then kind of adjusts herself and goes in and then comes out and looks. Oh, those are toys, I believe. If the books I've read are correct, yes, they are entertainers or games at one time.
Ah, they are not people. Okay.
No, simulacrum of people.
I thought they had an accident.
Well, they did, but this way. And yeah, he begins to lead you out of this space. So Red leads you through the carnival. You would all start to feel and see the rain starting to pour down. It starts very, very softly, but then quickly becomes a heavy downpour. You can hear the pattering, thunderous rain that is hitting all the exposed metal in this area. But they lead you to a large structure that it can be quite terrifying to look at first, as you can see these shredded, a shredded circus tent that's kind of hanging from above. But each of the entrances are these garish, large metal sculptures that have lost all their paint and veneer. So you see one, it's supposed to look like a tiger mouth. That is the entrance, but it's just sort of this horrible, rusted amalgam of steel with these shattered, exploded light bulbs where the eyes would be as you're entering into the big tent. You can kind of see detritus has gathered all around. Wind has blown leaves and dead things all over. And you enter into this space that is, you can see kind of like dust falling from the ceiling as rain, heavy rains and torrents hit the tent. There's a one large shredded piece in the middle where you can see water pouring in from above into the circus ring in the center. But they lead you over towards a one of the sets of seats that was once here that has collapsed in the middle. But you notice that there's like debris all at the bottom of the steps and seats, as if almost like the way anthills form when they dig out the earth underneath. In the sense that you think Red and Oscar may have dug this out together. And Oscar begins climbing that detritus to enter into this space and kind of gives you all a wave to come up.
It's more of a hide in.
Yes.
Very astute.
Freeze for a moment and then keep going again.
Just gonna climb up on all fours.
You see Red slowly lets Oscar hop out and then immediately goes over into the dark to start messing around with things. And you can see you hear a few clicks and a little bit of engineering, and then suddenly, and you can see a bunch of neon lights and circus lights all go around in this space. As you can see, they've gathered a bunch of detritus and debris in here that has made somewhat of a living space. There's a bumper car, a vast bumper car that has been kind of, the insides have been gutted so that there's now a mattress in there with some blankets and pillows. You see the mirrors have been taken from the changing rooms and have been set up in one space with the lights all around them, and different wires and whatnot have been put all over the place. You see there's a hanging swing in the middle that comes from the parasail ride. That has that kind of like nice little diaper seat in it, and you can see immediately Oscar leaps into it and peeks back up and is slowly kind of like swinging a little bit as she watches Red settle in. And you can see they have like, it's like a dorm room, but made up of the ruins of a carnival, as Red has his own bumper car with a bed in it. And you see he immediately begins to like unpack his things there, and you can see he takes out these little sculptures that he has hanging all over himself, little origamis, little carved wooden figurines, and you can see he takes out a large chunk of wood and a knife and slowly starts to carve something. It looks about 25% done already. But Oscar kind of swings back and forth. Make yourself at home. It's going to be a long night.
Examine all the cool contraptions that just like I want to go see how that all works.
Okay.
Like the lights and stuff. How they rigged it all up. Because I am impressed.
Yeah, you can see very easily that there's like a lot of rewiring going on and a lot of things that have been dragged around that are attached to things that they were not originally meant to. It's very duct tape and glue, we'll say, about it. And you can kind of see these bundles of wires that are all kind of held together that lead up to the ceiling, where you presume there's probably some kind of solar panel that they've set up and attached to it to allow for their energy.
Cool. As I'm like examining it, I'm signing the whole time towards Red, and I'm saying out loud as well, this is very good. I would have used a shorter piece there, and I would have rewired it differently there, but overall this is very good.
And you see Oscar kind of like twists around in this and to look at you because you're in the back of the room and says, well, it did take me a couple of weeks to really learn the ins and outs of engineering after I woke, but I did my best.
You built this?
Of course. Red helped, of course. And she kind of holds her paws up. You know, no thumbs.
I would like to know how this works too.
All thumbs, if you think about it.
The pointing to the voice box. How does this work?
Well, that actually was not my invention. I woke up with it on.
And I'll sign to Red. Did you make it?
You see Red kind of looks back and he smiles and signs, no, I'm no engineer. And he signs to you, I know how to turn it on. That's about it. To just remind everyone of the description of Red, he is a really tall man and a really thick build, very strong. He wears that poncho over that looks like it's kind of sewed up of several different fabrics. Some of it might even be circus tent. And he really looks like a wilderness man. He's got a scraggly beard, long, somewhat curly hair. I'd say if there's a reference that I could give for him, he looks like in Rogue One, the guy with the big gun that he carries that hangs out with Donnie Yen's character. He looks a lot like that guy. But Oscar kind of looks around and says, so, Director Hirsch sent you. What exactly do you need from us in this area?
We are here to kill all the bad things.
Oh, the bad things.
She
Yes.
was non-specific. Just the bad things.
Anything that's going to be a threat.
Yeah.
We've only worked with Hirsch once before to help some of her people through these parts. If she's looking to survey the land, there are certainly threats that could be dealt with that we can show you to tomorrow or and the morrow after that, depending on how tired you are from your encounter with the omnitoad.
Doctor, are you all right?
Yeah, my gym was on the fritz for just a little bit, but I think it's kind of come back now. And you and Terrence as well.
Oh, I am fine. It was not pleasant, but
I've worked in places that stunk way worse than that. And I go and sit down beside Red and wait till they're done communicating with Astrid.
You can see Red is the little thing that Red is carving. I'd say that Terrence knows what an elephant looks like. You can see Red is carving a little wooden elephant figurine.
Amazing.
And his desk is scattered with these little wooden carvings and origamis, and he likes to make little things. You can see he has some hanging from his poncho.
I pull up my tablet and open it up and open up just a keyboard like a chat thing and start typing into it. Where
I can translate for you
backs
if you
up
want.
like backs up 3 or 4 times. No, that's okay, thank you. And types in, where does the dog get its memories from? Question mark. In the pack? Question mark. And I just turn it around and show it to Red and hand it to them.
Yeah, he would take it from you and read it for a little bit. And start typing his own message. And holds it to you. It says, Oscar has her own memories, though she's missing a lot of them. She is her own person. Dog person.
And then as a show of respect, I turn it around so they can see them and I delete it letter by letter till it's all gone and then shut the tab.
He goes back
Thank
to
you.
carving the figurine.
About how connected are you to those? And I'm pointing at the little figurine that they're doing.
They would
And I go to open the tab again if necessary.
yeah. He would actually not need the tablet. He would smile at this and kind of like gesture to them. And kind of like he takes a few and kind of holds them up to you.
I was thinking about that one you're working on now. When you're done. Oh, Elwin?
He holds it up, and then
what is it?
he signs,
Ah.
and you
Yeah.
see Oscar's.
I just fade into the back and let the two of them sort of come together in front of me.
Oscar's like, that looks to be an elephant. He thoroughly enjoys carving and creating things, and yes, he loves to share them with those we meet.
It is small. Is
That
it
is
heavy?
not the real size.
Oh,
They are much bigger.
I am glad. Otherwise, I thought I had been misled.
Oh,
Oh,
I don't like to be fooled.
he prefers to craft little, small things, delicate things.
can I have one?
You see Red, again, a big smile with a nod, and you see now, though, he, like, opens a drawer, and you can see in that drawer are, like, it's just filled with little paper origami and wooden carvings. You see all sorts of things. You see a lot of, like, he probably, like, copied a lot of the, like, old sculptures or paintings that are here, so you see some, like penguins that have like little bow ties. You see monkeys. You see all sorts of circus animals, really, as well as some like more. You see an omnitoad in there. You see all sorts.
Are there any
of things.
kangaroos?
Oh yeah, there's definitely a kangaroo in there.
I am 100% gonna ask for one to take back to Ken.
For everyone's reference, in the last time me and Shannon played in this setting, one of the party members was a man who was cursed to be a kangaroo until he learned the value of friendship. and to become a real man. But he chose to become a kangaroo again because he found he preferred it.
Yay, I'm a llama again. Oh.
Oh wait. Yes. Excellent reference.
He realized he
That's
was
exactly
a furry.
what it was like. Oh no. You hear the storm cracks outside, and you can hear the billowing of the circus tent. It's quite, if anyone is not used to being out in the stormy weather, it could be quite frightening. I'm thinking of you, Elowen, being from the underground, that this might be something a bit unusual for you, or at least like you're not quite used to it yet.
Yeah, she's just staring up at it, just like, is something gonna come through? Is there a monster outside?
No,
Should we?
hopefully not.
Okay.
Just don't
so we
get too
have to
close
fight.
to the pulse.
Oscar.
Why?
Oh, sorry, you carry on.
That's okay. It will hurt
Oh,
if you touch it.
okay.
Oscar, why are you hiding? This place is to hide, yes?
Well, it's to stay safe. Dangerous out in the no-go. I've not been here long. Red and I have been hiding here for a couple of years. I don't know much, but Red always tells me it's important we stay here.
Piercing look at Red at that statement.
You would suddenly see Red's smile fades, and he just kind of like adjusts to not really be looking at anyone, and just starts carving on the elephant. It's also at this point that you suddenly hear a as Flicker comes out and immediately scans Oscar.
Oh. I don't know if you've met. Oscar, this is Flicker.
You see Flicker is like finishes scanning. You can see kind of a little visual across her face, kind of in that like 8-bit way that her eyes show up. You just sort of see like an ellipses go across, and then her eyes open up, and she zooms in front of Oscar. Before any of that happened, Oscar was barking at Flicker as she was being scanned. So you can tell that there is a differentiation between the corgi sounds, her actual physical sounds, and the mental robot voice.
Flicker, that is sometimes, I have learned, rude.
See Flicker's eyes kind of blink. Rude?
Scanning
well, it's
someone
just my-
without their permission can be rude.
You see Flicker kind of gets real close to Oscar's face. Well, I am dreadfully sorry, little one. But I'm Flicker. If you need anything, just holler. You see Flicker kind of zooms out into the space outside of the hiding area, and you can start to hear Flicker scans. You can hear zzz, until it fades into the storm. As Flicker seems to just be scanning the whole place.
Oh no, they're out there in the thing that's happening out there. Is that okay for them?
Yes, it is quite all right. She's been in this storm many times.
Elowen, have you not heard rain before?
Is that what that is?
Yes.
It sounds so much louder than what I've read in the books that have fallen into my home. Usually they describe it as like a pitter-patter.
The roof
It
makes
is
worse.
sometimes.
No.
Uh,
Sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
I've never experienced rain before. I'm from underground, so this doesn't reach us.
It is beautiful, no?
Who looks up at them? It's like,
Is the water warm, or like is it a cold rain?
I'd say when you were outside before you came in here and it was starting to drizzle, it's temperate. It's not too cold. It's not too warm. It's comfortable.
Freya is there like a hole in the tent fabric that like lets the torrent in quite well?
Yeah. There's a very clear column of rain that's falling in the circus ring.
Freya would hold out her hand to Elowin and indicate to follow, and then lead her over to that if Elowin is okay with it, and lets go of her just shy of it, and then goes and stands in the rain and just looks up into it and lets it just drench her.
she was like, just hesitantly like steps in, and like her ears kind of like flick a bit at like the sudden droplets that hit her. She's like, just like a wet dog. But she's like, oh, this isn't so bad. Oh, I can't keep my eyes open, but this is interesting.
There is a word for it. My people have. Solipsism. The amniotic tranquility of listening to the rain outside. I find it
think I like Solip. Whoops.
Okay. You would see Oscar, those of you inside would see Oscar kind of like leap out and follow them. You see Oscar stays very far away from the rain, but is kind of stepping closer. And as she hears you talking about this, you see she kind of like is panting and sits and listens. And you see she drinks a little bit of the water that's pooled there. And then as you say solipsism and whatnot, she looks at Elowin kind of and does the dog cock of the head. Pluviophile is a word I read once. Lover of rain. I don't like it, but it does sound quite pleasant.
All of my people would be pluviophiles. Or most of them anyway. On our ships we rarely bother with structures on the ship. So if it rains you get wet.
I don't like getting wet.
Does it affect your box?
It can get in the way and affect the reception and outcome of my neural link. But mostly I just don't like my fur getting wet.
Sean, I'd like to find some material and fashion a little doggy raincoat for Oscar.
There is plenty of material. Like you can clearly see like in Oscar's side, like he just like hoards material that he can make things with. It seems like most of the things that might be decorative in here were made by Oscar. He has a love for junk interior design.
Great. I'm gonna make the most patchworky little raincoat, and I thought I had a nope, never mind. So yeah, I just want to like fasten things together. Maybe there's like, you know, it's just some like harder pieces, like kind of like armor, but not really. Just keep the water off of her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There's in Terrence for a moment again he freezes, like with Freya's not double entendre, null entendre. It had no meaning earlier. That same sort of pause in mid-step. but this time it's watching Elowen, and it's a pause because he's remembering over 400 years ago when he first came up, and seeing her enjoying her experience on the, which is very different than he did. But anyway, he, for a moment that distracts him, and then I looked back down, and I start watching Red and Oscar, and I want to see if they're always within a specific distance of each other.
Yeah, so I would say it doesn't need a roll. Oscar definitely has moved away from Red at this point, and Red has not moved, nor has Red indicated that he is concerned about their distance from each other. Currently, from
Yes.
the 30 feet or so that Oscar has gone away from him, and with others, so he has not reacted yet. But he is kind of staying quiet to himself, as maybe smirking when Astrid goes through his junk to find goods.
Tossing things over my shoulder, looking at it. No. And just making a big old mess.
I'm gonna look towards the doctor, and I'm going to motion for him to come over here. Do you think you can feel the rain?
He kind of like starts to come over, listening, and when he realizes what you're starting to ask, he's like already shaking his head no.
Oh.
No, we can't really. I like the sound of like the thunder and the energy the lightning puts in the air, but not the rain.
Does it go through you, or is there like a magic skin that it hits? Because you're not originally bone.
No. And he kind of puts his skeletal arm out there, and it hits the bone, makes sound, but he basically says, I can't really feel it. I little tingle and he takes like his skeletal finger and puts the water to the magical gem. Like, kinda, but
As you see that one little drop hit the gem and slide down, you see Oscar kind of steps up and sits next to the doctor, Zaxik, and says, "Do you remember what the rain feels like?"
you see him pause for probably about a second and a half. He goes, I think it's kind of hard to remember what you can't feel anymore. You think you have memories, but you woke up like this, right? Do you remember anything?
That's why I asked. I'm curious about memory. I have small dreams. A lab, cold, some masked individuals, people. I remember waking up and I saw Red standing over me, protecting me from frightening individuals. But before that, no. Red tells me that I'm probably 5 or 6 years old. But I don't remember any of that, and Red and I have been together for a year.
Do you believe you were always in your current form?
That's the question that I ask every night, especially when it rains like this. Because while I don't like getting my fur wet, I don't know.
Or you can go out in the rain. Oh, sorry.
I feel memories, but not pictures or stories or words or... And I try to read as much as I can to remember, but there's a wall. Maybe I wasn't always in this body. You see, she kind of like does a little circle and sits. But it doesn't feel wrong. Just different. But you're a curious creature.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that one a lot. If question I always have in my, you see like pauses because he's about to say like in my brain, in my mind, and his question I always have: if given the chance, would you go back? Like if you knew that wasn't your form.
Oh. What delightful premise. What a lovely thought. I don't know. I like this life. It can be scary. To get to read all the books I want. And Red protects me. And I him. If there is a life before this, I don't remember it. Though sometimes I try. It's not who I am anymore.
I want to talk to Red one more time. If that's possible.
Sure.
Probably while that's going on, so I wouldn't have heard that whole last bit, but I heard the first reference to rain. So I go over to Red, sit down again, because you said they were sitting earlier, right?
Yeah.
And there's the image of this huge sort of mountain person and little tiny scrawny little me sitting beside him, almost in their shadow. Look up. So, can you explain to me why that dog knows so much about rain when it doesn't like getting wet?
He starts to sign, but then quickly
And I
shifts
pull out the
grabs
tablet and yeah.
You
Sorry,
see
I
he types
forgot
very
to mention it,
quickly,
yeah.
and he hands it back to you, and it says, "All I know is that she, according to what I've been told, is the smartest creature on this whole rock. And she reads more voraciously than I carve." And he kind of points, and you can see behind Oscar's bumper car bed, there is just piles and piles of old books.
Okay. I got one more question, Red, and I don't think you're gonna need that. So I take the tablet back and shut it off, put it away. Red, you want to go stand in the rain?
He'll
reach over
put
like I
his-
could possibly help them up and
yeah.
go through the
Absolutely.
motion. Yeah.
And as he kind of like lets you help him up, you kind of like can feel just like how muscular he is and how like hardy and how he's lived out in the wilds for a long time. And steps out with you to join the others to feel the rain this evening.
I'm watching because I'm watching to even I don't remember the word, but I want to see whether Red is reacting with that sheer joy of someone who truly loves the rain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You see Red starts to step out, and you see Oscar's ears go up as she watches him. And she kind of rushes up and stands next to him, and he puts his hand down and scratches her ear. You see her leg goes auto doggy style. And he steps past her out to the rain, and you hear her bark at him and then say, "Don't you come pet me after being out there." And you see he steps out there, and he sees Elowen enjoying it, Freyr enjoying it, Zaxix kind of trying to experience it. Astrid, what are you doing?
I'm still making the coat because I wanna be able to put it on Oscar so that she can join everybody outside.
You see Astrid off to the side, quickly welding and melding this cloak together with her skills. You see she's like biting her tongue and she's focusing on it. Oscar steps in, and like Frere and Elowen, you would just kind of see like the hulking shadow of him, this like bestial man. If you just saw him, you might even just be afraid of him, as he's just sort of like shrunken a little. And he kind of holds his hands out and lets the rain pool in his hands as a big grin spreads across his face. And he kind of just like splashes it into his own face and shakes his head.
I mimic him.
And I know he can't hear. I look down at Oscar and say, "How do you turn the pages?"
I was going to ask that as well.
Sorry, I didn't look. I didn't realize you had a multiple liquid. Sorry.
It's the tongue turn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 100% what it is. Yeah.
She says,
finished-
she smiles and kind of, she smiles and just, she doesn't answer, she just barks at you.
Yeah.
And then kind of like, does that doggy grin as the tongue hangs out.
Yep.
I finish this little raincoat with a flourish, and I go up to Oscar and I say, "Would you like to go out? I made this for you, so you will not get wet."
He kind of like noses it a little bit, and then kind of like puts her head into it, and
I
lets
help
you
her put it on. Yeah, one
so you
little
kinda
foot
goes over
and
the-
the other little foot, and the last
Foot.
one.
Feet go in, the head comes
Feet go
through
in.
the hood.
Yep, I made little booties too, so her little toe beans don't get wet.
You see this. Oh wow, there's a grasshopper in my room. And just
Oh,
crawled
God.
on my just crawled on my computer screen. How did you get here, buddy? You see, even though she is seems to be a certified genius.
Still can't figure out how to walk because the booties.
Yep. Absolutely. You do that.
Why does feet?
Yeah.
As you see her run out into the rain, and it's like the goofiest run ever with the booties on. And she runs in and just sort of jumps, putting her paws up on Red's legs, who has kind of like been like this, and he just picks her up, and she licks some of the rain off of his face. And he smiles and nods to you, Astrid.
One more question. I promise it's only one more. I keep having one more, but this really is the last one. Is it fair to say that Oscar did not speak when Red couldn't hear the conversation? Because you said she didn't speak to me and she didn't speak to Astrid, right?
Yes, she didn't say anything.
It can be all the red herring in the world. I just want to know.
Yeah, she didn't say anything when you talked to her, and didn't say anything when Astrid talked to her.
Okay. Thank you. I don't go in the water. But
Sure.
All right, what would you like to do?
Freya has a question for Oscar, though.
Sure.
And Freya acknowledges that they know very little about animals. She would say, your reactions, your instincts are dog-like? When Flicker arrived, you barked at them. Did you choose to do that, or did it just sort of, was it an instinct response?
An excellent question. Very astute. I'm curious. Instinct did play a part, and when I first spent time with Red, I tried to suppress these instincts. I thought it was immature of me, not fitting, but to deny them made me terribly uncomfortable. It felt like I was always distracted and thinking about the fact that I had these instincts. But with Red, I've learned to let go of the gnawing thoughts that something is unbecoming of someone of my intellect.
You can be clever and also not like rain.
I suppose.
I do not think barking is immature.
I don't think liking the rain is immature either.
I should hope not. And I tilt my head back up into it. Then I, have a shiver as I've been in it the longest. And now I think I would like to be dry.
Yes.
And I step out of it and begin to steam. And I'm dry within 30 seconds.
Excellent.
That puts hot to a new definition.
The water is, I am not.
All right. So, you all enjoy this moment in the rain before you all return to the hidey hole in the bleachers, the stairs, the steps. You see Red brings out towels for everyone, and I wouldn't say fresh clothes. I would say just accumulated clothes that might have been washed a little bit. If anyone would like to change, if they don't have their own, or their abilities to self-dry.
Freya will happily dry anybody else who wants to be dried. It's functionally prestidigitation.
Yeah.
I want to try that.
So yeah, Freya would put their hands around you and just like about 10 centimeters from your body. And yeah, just run their hands slowly down you, and as they do, the steam just lightly wafts away from you.
You're just like poofs up.
Oh,
That's
that can
incredible.
You're muted.
I said, love it. Yeah, so basically, you come back. Red kind of starts to pull out some rations and begins to cook some food for you all. Very simple. There is some toasted bread and beans that you all will enjoy together. What would you all like to do this, if there's anything else you'd like to do this evening before bedding down?
I am actually I'm going to assist Red with that, and Freya would go over, like I had been planning to do this. Freya would go over to Red and say, "I wish to offer a trade, Red. I would like you to finish the elephant. I would like the elephant, for reference. I am seeking one. I will do dinner." And
Red just gestures and kind of nods in like agreement, seemingly quite excited that he doesn't have to do any work on the food, and would much rather be carving the elephant than cooking.
Freya then spends about 5 minutes casting Helen's Fantastic Feast, which is one of my abilities. And yeah, it's a lot of food you don't recognize, as some of it is really quite unusual, and the smells and spices and flavors coming off it are unusual. There is, yeah, spicy would be the way to describe it. There's a lot of spices, and it's probably quite hot food, but yeah, several different curries, and different kinds of rice, and basically Freya is taking taking various containers and just holding them in her palms and focusing, and slowly these different things materialize in them, and places one down at a time, and occasionally points to one and it starts steaming again, so she's warming them back up again, and says, and she looks at the table like, something missing. And looks around and finds a large old light bulb that's clearly burst. That like the filament, no, the glass itself is good, but the filament is gone. Pulls the metal bits out, hands it to Astrid, and then focuses on it, and it fills with fluid. And then she puts it on an old washer so it stands upright in the middle of the table. The fluid is deep burgundy red. It says, "Dinner is served."
How do you do all these amazing things?
I am magical.
Oh. It's better than all the pockets on my cloak. And she just like starts pulling things out of like pockets that you didn't even notice before.
This technically restores hit points. It restores everybody's hit points to max.
Hey.
I don't know if it's necessarily important because we're about to sleep, but yeah.
No,
It might be. You see Red kind of has been at the Red dragged out a table that you are putting this all on. You can see he's carving, and because you took the initiative, he is definitely like really quickly, like that elephant is shaping up. But you see he wipes away the shavings as you produce this lovely feast, and he voraciously begins enjoying it. As you see, Oscar. I keep wanting to say Astrid when I'm about to say Oscar for some reason. But Oscar kind of like, you see her put her nose under Red's arm and lifts it up like what dogs do when they're trying to get
Oh my
pet.
god, I hate that.
Yeah.
So much.
That cold little
And-
nose right there. Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yep.
So rude.
And Oscar
I
kind
love
of go like makes the no sound comes out, but makes the kind of facial gesture of and then starts to scoop some food into a plate for Oscar.
I'm just gonna
I
fill up a
100
plate.
oh,
And,
Go
I'm
ahead.
just gonna fill up a
Nope.
plate and go over and stay that respectful distance away from the library where I can read the titles of the books, but there's no way I'm going to spill this food on it.
Mhm.
And just do that stupid head thing where you have to keep turning your head to read all the
Mhm.
titles.
I 100% sit with my feet up on the table and just like have a plate in front of me and just chowing down.
The doctor sits but makes no play.
Wine, anyone?
I'm not complaining.
You hear Red grins at that, and you can hear kind of like this coming from him, as you can tell he's laughing. But then he'll like grab his cup and very boisterously hold it out for wine.
Freya gives him a good measure.
I'm
Terrence
I'm gonna
as
go
well,
eat over by
absolutely.
Terrence.
Yeah, actually, you're right. I'm across the room, so never mind. I don't get the wine yet. I'm over reading the books.
I bring it over as Kelsey comes and sits down next to you, or Elowen
Who's
rather.
Kelsey?
Comes down. Yeah,
Elowen's middle name.
Elowen. Yeah,
Elowen
as
Kelsey.
Elowen comes and sits down next to Terrence, Freya would bring it over and explain. This is the fermented juice of grapes. I have seen many humanoids use it to achieve advanced states of mental incompetence.
It is delightful. As I
It is
take
very
a
pleasant.
big swig. I wouldn't drink too much though if this is your first time. You'll have a terrible headache in the morning.
Oh,
Oh, this has been denatured. Should be hangover free.
Mm-hmm. Technically,
I would
yeah.
not trust it.
It's not
The
the
doctor.
alcohol. Sorry, it has just been.
The
It
doc-
has been.
Yeah.
It's had the tannins removed.
Mhm. Yeah.
The doctor kind of speeds up from where he's
Much
sitting.
is
He
fair.
says, "Well, if you do enjoy it a little too much, I think I can help the headache too. So just enjoy yourself."
Though I
Time
would
to become a
say,
fool.
even without the hangover, it is still can make you sick if you drink too much of it, from what I've read.
And it is.
Fortunately,
very
it's
bad for
quite
dogs.
toxic to dogs. As she kind of looks at you and does that kind of like you'd see the ears do kind of go back like,
Oh.
but Red's loving it.
I'll take a respectable dram, and actually, like, you can't do the whole thing because I don't have a glass thing, but the equivalent of having a sniff and a breathe and a look, and then have a small drink. Look over at Frere. I just had a question. Where did you say you were from?
The deeper drifts. In terms of a homeland, I am in search of it.
That's one of those questions that makes more questions and no answers. Sorry to bother you during dinner. Thank you for the drink. It's very good.
So, Terrence, some of the names you would, some of the names of the books you could see. There's a lot of books on the natural sciences, and a lot of books on magic as well, and a lot of books on particularly Paleomagica, which is magic from the old times before the Cataclysm, and an assortment of those, and then like weirdly like dabbled between all of these, you would see some like children's picture books of animals and other sorts of things, kind of like if you all remember when you were a kid and there'd be those infomercials for like the zoology book series
Oh my
that you
God.
could get and your parents could call and buy for you, and it'd be like
Yes.
reptiles this month, and they've got like 90s aesthetics. There's a bunch of those mingled with the like advanced higher education science and magical books.
Zoo books.
Well, it looks
Two
like
books,
somebody
thank you.
taught somebody to learn
books.
to read here, and then, okay. I'll draw my own conclusions from that. Thank you. I'm just enjoying this very good wine and puzzling out this combination. Just our contacts. That's all they are. I'm treating them like they're criminals, but they're just our contacts. Yeah.
We were probably supposed to hunt something at some point, but yeah.
That's just adorable dogs and nice rain moments and getting to know each other. That's my favorite part of TTRPGs. All right, so the night kind of continues. The rain keeps ebbing and flowing, but never gives up. It's pretty late at this point. It's probably around what would be the equivalent of 10:30 in the evening. You're all kind of getting tired from the day and getting ready to rest. You see Red is getting beds ready for all of you. He seems to be pulling cots from out of nowhere, with some musty smelling sheets and pillows. as he kind of lays these out for each of you. And you can see Oscar kind of does a few big stretches and yawns before she hops into her bumper car bed. She doesn't go to sleep. She just sort of like lays down in there. And as Red finishes bringing you all beds, you see he starts to make some hot beverages for the evening for everyone.
I fell asleep in my chair about 10 minutes ago, and like my head is 100% back, mouth wide open, catching flies, and like my hat's askew, and my cup is spilling out whatever's left in it, and
Astrid,
probably
how
snoring.
much did you drink?
I don't know. Can I roll for it?
The light bulb
Yeah.
is now empty.
I'm holding the light bulb. Yeah, I drank a lot.
Okay, Astrid, you are
16.
very drunk.
I'm a sleepy drunk, just like Shannon.
Even though you're going to sleep, if for whatever reason you have to make any rolls, you have disadvantage.
Oh, boo. Okay.
So Red would hand out cups of tea, and he has a few packets of microwavable hot chocolate, if that's your
Oh
speed.
my God.
And it's definitely it's microwavable. It's got the little like dehydrated marshmallows in it.
Swiss Miss.
Swiss. Yeah, that's what it is. You see, he makes one of those and pours it into a bowl and brings it over for even
No,
though
he
it's,
doesn't.
she is she is a very
real
special
chocolate.
dog.
She's a
It's-
special dog.
one,
She
it's
can
not
have
real
whatever
chocolate.
the fuck
She's
she
also
wants.
resistant to chocolate.
Oh no, immune. Not just resistant.
Yeah, none of us
It's a
are
lot
immune
like
to her.
lactose intolerant for her.
Oh my God.
She gets a
I
little, gets a little
can't. It's
gassy
too
when she has
cute.
chocolate.
That bumper
It's
car's
too
gonna smell
cute.
terrible.
Excuse me, Shannon. This is the smartest creature on this entire ride. Please show some respect.
They're not mutually exclusive.
That.
I want to watch over the course of the rest of the evening too. Does it look like the collars come off? You said it's collars with like a device at the front. Is it like a simple dog collar that you could just go doink? Is it looks like, or
It appears to be a little bit more sophisticated than that. Not like significantly. And what mostly mean is just it's not just sort of like a squeeze and pull. It's the collar itself is more of a more solid than a typical dog collar would be. You see, Red's is very loose. It's more of a necklace. But and you would see that Oscar has not taken it off yet, or at least asked for it to be taken off.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there anything anyone would like to do before bedding for the evening?
I want to be a little bit of a drunk mess.
Miss Elowen, yes, I imagine you're a mess because you've never. Have you drank before? I don't think so. Well, maybe
Not
Underdark
wine.
drinks. It's not wine, yeah.
Not
Okay,
wine.
Elowen, it's roll me a d20.
Okay. Gonna use this big dice. That's a 12.
Okay. Yeah, you're on top of the world. You're in. It's that like college freshman just started drinking is just sort of like, I love being drunk. Not understanding the full ramifications of it.
Make more of that wine! I can go all night! And you know what? Like, I feel like my mind is just out here and like everything, like, I could. It looks over at Terrence. Do you have an anxiety problem?
I kind of used to, but I learned to fake it like I don't.
I kind of picked that up because, like, you look at everything, and it's really interesting. And I just kind of wonder why. I'm just like, if you're scared of things, and then, like, I don't know, and then like, the doctor, you can feel things through your gem. And that's interesting. Like, if I were to poke it right now, could you feel that?
Yes.
Can I
When he
poke
moves
it?
backwards.
Damn it.
No.
I respect that, even though I really want to. But, God. This
Red
is
comes over
great.
with a really nice warm cup of tea for you, Elowen.
Thank
And you
you
notice
so
like
much.
Red's a little drunk too. He kind of like trips a little, kind of steps down
Yeah.
and gets a little hot tea on him.
It's
I
like
wanna-
you're dancing.
Try and act like I'm catching him and accidentally close my hand on that medallion.
Oh, the necklace.
The necklace, yeah, I'm a dick. It's just the character.
Trying
honest.
to? Are you trying to take it?
Not steal it. I just want to close my hand on it and see if I feel anything at this point.
Yeah, I mean, give me a d20 roll.
That's a 9.
Okay, difficult choice. So you don't get a lot of information about it from touching it. You don't necessarily feel any kind of like magical presence or anything. But your difficult choice is you could choose either Red notices you trying to futz with it, or you, in the process of trying to make this sneaky, completely trip and fall and splash the hot tea all over Elowen.
Red catches me looking,
Okay.
or trying to put my hand on it and just look at him. I just had to know. No hard feelings, right?
You see his face. He kind of looks at you, looks down at your hand on it, and
I let go immediately as soon as he looks. Yeah.
you see he quickly puts it underneath his poncho, delivers the tea, and seems to wander off a little soured by that.
Oh no.
Elowen, yeah, this all happened right in front of you, this awkward
Oh.
exchange.
You did not get over your anxiety problem at all. And now you for this feel you're gonna really have to apologize for Red, thank you for the tea. And I'm gonna follow after Red.
It's very good tea shit.
You see Red.
She's so right to nobody in particular as Elowen walks away.
You see Red grabs a something from the cloth kind of closet that he has by his bed and puts it by his workstation, his workbench. You see it's like a big gun. It's just a big gun is what I'll describe it as. And you see him kind of like quickly and a bit harshly goes back into finishing the elephant.
I'm gonna sit down by him and just kind of like sip on the tea and just like ask, just like, is it okay if I'm here?
At first, he doesn't really respond, and you can just see these like sharp movements with the knife on the elephant, and then you see he kind of,
Oh. Oh no. Let's see here. Let's see if I have anything. Oh, I do. I am going to take out my little healing potion. It's like, you hurt yourself? Here, you can use this. Like, hold it out to him.
You see he's hesitant to accept it. And he'll accept it and take it, and you see he reaches into a drawer and starts pulling out a few things. He has these like old, somewhat withered, like cotton swabs. And you see he sort of takes the healing potion and sort of, as he starts to And then he just looks you in the eyes, and there's real, like, you can, and you're seeing his face up close, you can see there's like so many wrinkles, and he's a little older than he looked at first. This is probably a man, as best you can tell of humans, um, you know, over the hill of his middle age. And then he kind of smiles and he starts to sign, but then you hear kind of like, there's almost like the sound of a static shock as the collar activates for a moment, and you hear just the voice, "Thank you."
Yeah. Bet it happens a lot, but it still hurts. You made a lot of them. They're really nice. And I hope it's not greedy if I take more than one, because I kind of want to give some to my family too when I see them.
You see he smiles and laughs without sound. And you see he grabs one from his stock. You see he holds his arm out, his massive arm out, and you see it's a little zebra. And you see he just sort of
Oh,
crosses his arm, smiles, and hands it to you.
thank you. It has stripes on it. I've never seen that. And she just kind of like rambles off about the animals and stuff and how she can, like, I've seen something like this before. I can even turn into it and stuff. It's really fun. And she's just that drunk rambling until she probably also, like, Astra gets like really sleepy because of the everything and probably like just falls asleep just like against him.
And Red lets you do this. Like, he goes back to working on it. You see maybe he wraps his finger up, but he generally is just listening, and very sweetly is just taking in everything you're giving him. And you're like halfway through, he hands you another little figurine to take. You see you're talking, and as you're talking, he's kind of like on the table like this, listening, and you see he's slowly lining up in front of him a little family of penguins.
Oh, yeah, a family.
And then and he kind of pushes it forward towards you.
Oh, are you sure? Thank you. Oh, it's like my family. We're all just little penguins.
And you see he, even as you're saying that, you see he even like goes like,
yeah, exactly. And in her drunken state, she probably accidentally just turns into a penguin.
and he's delighted. Zasix, you said you had something.
Yeah, towards like later in the night, like after all of this, he wouldn't really care if people were awake, but he would try to give it a little time. He definitely wants to catch Red and Oscar awake as he goes over there, and he kind of sits down for a second, looks at both of them with as serious of a face as you could imagine a skull being, and he says, "So I'm." He's trying to think of a way to say it. I'm weird, clearly. I also have some powers. I would be very remiss if I didn't offer this to you. I would also be very remiss if I didn't tell you that it was partially because I like both of you, and partially because it would benefit me as an experiment." He just
See,
kinda looks between them,
Oscar
gauging
says,
the reaction.
Oscar kind of does the doggy curious head twist. I like experiments. And Red just kind of nods.
Okay.
As you see, Oscar hops up into Red's lap, and he's just kind of petting her as you talk to them.
He nods a little bit, and he goes, "Well, I'm pretty sure I can only do one today, and then I can definitely come back later and try it again if it works out. I will let you decide if you even want to and who, but You see him kind of like, he like rubs his skull like very close to the gem, but doesn't touch it. And he says, I've been working on a ritual that can bring people back closer to their normal state. It is, he's like trying to think of a way to say it. I put arms back on. The thing is, I don't know what it would do to both of you.
Magic with regenerative restoration powers?
Yes.
And what do you get out of this?
The knowledge to see what it would do to someone that's probably closer to me than I've found so far.
You see Oscar looks to Red. Red looks down to Oscar. And you see Red does touch the necklace. And then signs to Oscar. And Oscar gives a little... Red would like to stay how he is now. He is who he is. He's happy. But I
understand.
am a scientist. And would be happy to participate.
You see, like, even with, like, of course he came over here to ask this, you see, like, the hesitation in just his body language. And he starts to get up and he goes, okay, it's gonna take me a second, as he kind of turns his back to them. And anyone that's watching, the gem will glow a little bit as he takes his finger, just his bare bone finger, and begins to, like, trace this very small circle. And it's something between, like, fire and acid, the energy that comes off of it that burns into the wood, but it doesn't burn very far at all. As he's just, like, drawing, as almost like it's chalk, this little very intricate, arcanish, occultish circle in the ground. Takes 12, 18 seconds. It's pretty fluid. Probably the most, like, fluid and, like, cognizant, like, knowing what he's doing using the doctor thus far. And he finally looks back up and says, I'm hesitant. I don't know what it will do, but I do know it's proven itself before.
And you see Red signs to Oscar. And Oscar sort of barks to interrupt the signing. It says, we've been cooped up in this forest for too long, Red. This might be what I need. And Red kind of stares you down, Zaxix. And he's not exactly pleased, but he's not interfering.
For sure.
As
yeah,
Oscar
Zazzix
will...
like...
Oscar's just
Yeah,
going
I was gonna say
do whatever
Zazzix
you tell
will,
her to do.
For sure. Zazzix stares back at Red for maybe 2 seconds, and I'm sure Red holds it longer than that, and then eventually Zazzix just kind of, like, glances away.
Okay.
And then he looks down and says, I really just need you inside the circle. Be calm. I don't think that really affects it. It's gonna do what it's gonna do, you know?
Okay. You see she follows instructions and she plops herself down in the center of the ritual circle.
Okay. So I am casting a 7 action point spell called Restore. which you touch a creature. This is kind of how I want to flavor it. I don't think it's touch. I think it actually takes a lot more time than just walk up to someone and touch. But it says you touch a creature, completely restoring it to its normal state.
Okay.
Do I roll?
Yeah, let's get a roll just to see if there's any extra effects. But because the spell doesn't require a roll, it just works. But we'll say this roll is for
sure.
potential flavor.
Okay. That is a 15.
Excellent. I'd say with that 15, the spell goes off very well to the point when it's like you're unsure what will happen. You're unsure of the comfort level of the subject, but because of you took all the precautions you needed to, and therefore it does not harm Oscar at all. It's a relatively calm experience, as opposed to being more destructive potentially or backfiring in any way. You see the magic kind of begins to manifest around her and kind of wraps her in somewhat of a cocoon, one might say, of this light that is a mingling of the different magics you described before. And it gets very bright to the point when it might wake up Astrid.
You don't want to do that.
And then kind of like shimmers bright and then immediately dies out. It like even like dulls the lights in the room before shrinking back down. And when it shrinks down, mid shrinking down, you would hear a loud, blood-curdling screech from Oscar, like a truly like dog yelp howl.
Yeah, the
As you
doctor
see,
flinches.
she's kind of rolled onto her side and on her back a little, and you can see she's doing that thing where dogs don't like what's in their nose, but she's just doing it to her entire head, essentially like this, as Red kind of immediately jumps to his feet and rushes over to grab her and pick her up and cradle her and hold her tight, so that because she's not exactly having a seizure, but she is kind of having some tremors. And she's just panting heavily and just sort of intermittent whimpers coming from her. As you can hear in the voice box, just sort of saying, I don't think I wanted to know. And then you hear outside, I'd say everyone actually roll me a d20. Well, you're all awake because she screeched, I imagine. Elowen and Astrid have disadvantage because you are both wasted.
I'm also going to take disadvantage because of this spell and how it exactly works for the doctor.
Absolutely.
Right.
Terrence, you had your hand up?
Oh, that's how many I rolled. That's a 1.
Oh, a 1. Okay.
Yep.
7.
Freya?
Freya got a 13. Freya has been sitting on a high point. She's found like a perch to watch from. It's like she's absented herself a little bit, like she's peopled out, but still wants to be observing but not involved, and has been watching this whole thing. She was sitting with her back to the group, watching as like a lookout, and has come back and is like, really in her head she's like, I really hope the doctor isn't turning our guide back into a normal corgi. But got a 13 on the dice.
Cool. Astrid, what'd you get?
5.
Elowen?
8.
Doctor?
Yeah, when all this magic happens, you see like the doctor's gem was glowing brightly as well, and then dims out as he seems to be like overcome with exhaustion and tiredness. I also got a 7.
Okay. Okay.
I was sneaking for the flap of the tent, like Terrence was leaving. And then when this happened, he grabs something to brace himself and pulls something loud and shattery down onto the floor. That's drawing attention to the fact that he was heading out the door.
Perfect. Yeah. So I'll put it this way. This is how I'll narrate this, and then after this narration, we're going to go to a break. So, Frere, I'd say these things happen simultaneously for you. You start to notice the light. You notice two things at once. It's almost like you spot something suspicious, and then you're distracted by a very loud and bright light. You notice little lights in the distance, like through the opening flap. You notice what appear to you like you might not. Well, no. You might know what this is. You see little beams of red light, multiple of them, moving as if with the barrel of a gun.
Yeah, Freya probably would know that.
Yeah. And I'd say, like, as you see this, like, maybe even what was drawing you back was both the light, but also like, hey, there's you would also notice like so much is happening for you right now, Frey. You notice these beams of red light. 2, you notice the bright light from the hidey hole. 3, you notice Terrence completely collapse into a bunch of rubble after he was trying to sneak out. All of that's happening at once. Those of you inside have no idea what's going on out there. Your intention is entirely focused on the doctor and Oscar. But that's where we're going to take a break.
I have to know what happens to this corgi.
All right, folks, we will be back in 5
don't
minutes.
leave it there.
So stick around to find out what has happened to our beloved Oscar and to see who's sneaking up on our friends here.
God damn it.
All right, we'll be back shortly, folks. See you soon. Welcome back, everybody, to Roll for Damage for our 3-shot Ardenquest in the setting of Arden with the system quest for episode 1 for a little genius who's just undergone some not so comfy restorations. Just as our inquisitive and bright Frere has noticed some danger afoot in the distance. Inside the hidey hole, you have Red grasping onto Oscar as she's whimpering, as a lot of you are trying to figure out what is happening. Frere, you are right outside, about to come in with the knowledge you have. Terrence, you are outside, stumbling amongst detritus.
Frere is not about to come in. Freya messages everybody in their heads. Everybody who's awake hears the more are coming. They have guns. Or laser pointers. But probably guns.
You would see Red immediately hold Oscar in one arm and rushes over to the contraption he showed you earlier, Astrid, and he just smacks a big red button, and everything just shuts down immediately. And it is
dive behind the nearest bit of wall.
Well, if they have guns, I have one too. So I'm gonna stumble out. Oh, and she's definitely grouchy because she's got woken up in the middle of a REM cycle, but she's gonna stumble out and she's got her gun and she's ready to go. Well, she thinks she's ready to go.
You would hear Oscar kind of whispering to, or not Oscar, sorry, Red whispering to Oscar. Shh, shh, shh. Or no, you wouldn't hear that. You'd see him in the corner petting her, trying to calm her down so she's not making as much noise. What were the rest of you doing?
The doctor is going to attempt to walk up to Red and Oscar, like cautiously, stealthily. And he doesn't know sign language, so he's gonna lift out a hand and like motion towards Oscar, and then put his other hand on his chest, as in like, I have something that'll help.
Oscar is
he's
very
not gonna try to get past Red.
Red is very hesitant to let you anywhere near Oscar. Give me a d20 roll.
Okay. 8.
Okay. The difficult choice here is one of two things. Either Oscar or Red completely kind of like shuns you. Red just like completely pulls Oscar away, does not let you anywhere near her. Or he lets you near her, but her whimpers are loud and can be heard most likely from outside.
I think, for the sake of the story, I think Red definitely shuns me.
Okay.
Like, he just pulls Oscar away. Like, the doctor really wants to help Oscar, but Red's not having it.
Yeah, Red is absolutely does not want you anywhere near her at this point. What are the rest of you doing?
Freya would message Oscar into her mind and would begin with, "I apologize and I will stop if this hurts. Are you still with us, Oscar?"
Through the whimpers, you would hear a voice in your head, and it's more of a projection of an idea. It's sort of an affirmation that she is still there, but you can tell that it's like mentally exhausting for her to even do anything right now. She's so overwhelmed with what she's experiencing, and you can feel like through this magic you're connecting with her, you can feel like a vestigial or a vestige of this exhaustion through this connection.
Cool. Then I would say to Red, she will be okay. I have asked her in her mind. She just needs time to... What the doctor did may have helped, but it hurt her. Too much knowledge too fast, I think. Red, who are these people?
And he'll look around, and then he'll look to Astrid and kind of like gesture to her to as he signs.
Yeah, I'll translate.
He can respond.
Viri and Core.
Okay.
The what?
Viri and Core.
That's bad.
Said it's laser pointers, right? They're using or laser sights.
Yeah.
Does mine
Right.
code have a laser thing on it?
No, it doesn't.
It does. Oh, it doesn't. Good. That's good
Has
information
a
to
grenade
know.
thrower on it though, so you know.
Terrence starts
Sure
patting
does.
his pockets. I start patting my pockets. Oh, I know it's in here somewhere. I put it. Oh, I remember. And pull out of his inside pocket what he called a disco ball. It's about that big around. It looks exactly like a little disco ball. And he turns it very carefully, turns it half a rotation. So that's 3 seconds and 2 and 1 and throws it up and towards where they're approaching from. And it explodes as high as he can throw it. And red and silver glitter fills the area. So now there's not laser lights. There's not laser pointers looking. There's a laser light show out there.
Glitter bomb.
It's just
Glitter bomb.
yeah, lasers
Amazing.
bouncing off of everything.
And remind me what
I'm
Glitter
I'm
Bomb
going to
does.
suggest we run like really hard that way. And I point the other way.
Yeah, what do you guys do? Well, first of all, actually, what does Glitter Bomb do again?
What it says here is it's technically a pouch of magic glitter that dispels invisibility. But all I want is its sparkle power.
Hell yeah.
It's an uncommon, so
yeah, you would definitely hear them like start to scatter and move about in confusion. They are forgoing their own kind of quiet now, to figure out what's going on. It's definitely bought you a little bit of time, I would say.
How many of them?
And as the husk falls to the ground, it goes and then hits the ground.
Fair. I'd say from what you could see before, roughly you could say from that area, there was at least 6 or 7 of them in that grouping.
And yes, as chat pointed out, glitter gets everywhere. So if we ever meet these people again, we're gonna know.
Yup.
Yeah, I'd say they're quite. Yeah, like if anyone were to peek out of the circus tent, like they're quite visible now with all the glowing glitter on them.
So my other question, and I would say Freya has definitely met Virian Core before. What does she think of their chances if we stand our ground? Is, I suppose, the.
That's a good question.
So
I
I've
think
never played this game before. I don't know what the balance is like.
I know. Interestingly enough, I'm also a little fuzzy on the balance of it, so we might be playing this by ear. I'd say, Frere, in your understanding, like you have a slight jump on them. Together, you probably would stand a chance against this unit, though you do think to the fact that at least 2 of your party members are drunk right now.
It's sort of my bad. Yeah. In which case, Freya will use her monitor ability and summons a small illusionary servant. And she's going to also, on this illusionary servant, cast Splitting Image. So it looks like there are 2 of them. And she has them run off side by side. She's going to make it look like Elowin. Because it's small and Elowin is small. She basically went with the smallest member of the group. And yeah, so she has it look like Elowin and has it run off into the off to the forest where the omnifrogs were.
Okay.
Being deliberate in that there isn't not running fast enough that the core can't follow.
Oh, I see. You're trying to make it explicit that
I'm trying to lure
get
them
their
away.
attention and lure them away.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, so you cast this spell as you're peeking out of the tent, and the little form of Elowin goes rushing through the rain. Now, what I'm gonna do is they're definitely going to be distracted by this. What I'm rolling for here is how long they get distracted, or how quickly they might realize that it's not actually a person running away, or 2 people running away. Okay. So, slightly metagamey, but I'm going to say it's the benefit of what you've done here and what your best guess is. You've bought yourself around 5 minutes. As you do start to hear the shouting of them, and you actually hear some gunfire and some bolts shooting out as you hear the boot fall as they have become distracted by your spell.
The another element of the monitor is that I know what it's doing. So
okay. Do you
when
see? Do you have like visual?
It says it scouts ahead for you. Is the wording of it. So I don't know. One would assume it has some ability to relay the information, and it's all about my build is all about telepathy and that's.
I absolutely would allow that. That's what I like about Quest. The language is vague intentionally so that we can do what seems best and what fits the story. I imagine. So in that case, what you'll get a little bit more information also as little simulacrum Elowins run out. As you run out and you hear them calling out, they're not calling out to the Elowin to be freeze or stay where you are. They're calling out to other units of Virian Core. that are in the area, and through your images, you're able to see some other laser sites. There are more than just this one unit, and you definitely can't take more than one unit.
Sure. Yeah. And so Freya comes down and says, "We must go now. They are following, actually, Elwyn, or at least they think they are. We have maybe 5 minutes." And
you see, Red is starting to.
Yeah.
Yeah, Red is starting to pack things up, and you see he slowly, gently places Oscar in his backpack, lifts her up, grabs his big gun, and looks to you, Freyr, for what you think you should do.
She is leading them that way. I advise we don't go that way. But there is more than just one group.
You see
the
doctor.
Go ahead.
You see the doctor pull out a candle. Like he's definitely getting ready to leave, but he pulls out a candle and makes a motion towards Red of like do we burn the place? Do we leave it up? Like is there stuff these people don't need to find here, et cetera, et cetera?
You see Red doesn't sign anything or say anything. He just sort of, there's extra like pouches on his backpack, his massive backpack he keeps Oscar in, and he just slaps that, indicating that anything of note or importance is with him.
All right, the doctor puts the candle back up and is ready to leave.
Is that I use Kindle to light the bed on fire, and then after a pause, the bookshelf and books.
Oh no.
It's okay. Red already grabbed her favorite books.
He patted the backpack. I'm taking him at his word, his lack of word. Yeah. It's the only dry stuff in here. It's pouring rain. I can't light the tent on fire, right? So
you see Red
for this. Freya would interject, like, why?
I'm trying to earn this a little more time.
Red looks to Freyr and looks to the rest of you and just sort of kind of gently claps his hands and just sort of gestures for a way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And starts to he's slowly sneaking away. He is being stealthy. So I'd like everyone to give me d20 rolls for
prior to these rolls. Does the doctor have time to do 2 actions prior to these rolls?
I would say yes. I'd say you could definitely do that.
Then he's going to use his last 2 adventure point or action points and cast Relieve on both Astrid and Elwyn, hoping to take away their drunkenness and allow them to roll normally.
Love it.
You are both hit like a brick wall with your sobriety, and the seriousness of the moment. But you feel much more comfortable with your own faculties. I forgot to mention this before, but everyone gets a 1 action point restored. If you haven't used any, you go up by 1 still. That is for how lovely your rain RP was.
So I'm on 2 now.
I haven't used one yet. I haven't used one in 2 weeks. Okay, everyone make your what constitutes essentially a stealth check.
I want to do something quick. As like everybody's running in one direction, and as I come back to myself and realize, who's there and what's going on, I say to whoever is nearest, just be like, I will catch up with you, go. And I want to I want to stay close enough so that I can hear potentially what they're saying.
The Virion Core.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you still trying to stay stealthy while you're doing this? Or at least out of sight?
Yeah.
Okay,
Out
so
of
still
sight
give
for
me
now.
a stealth roll. So everyone
Okay.
still give me your stealth rolls. Red got a 19. All right. Freyr.
Freya got an 11 and would like to grab the elephant before she leaves.
Absolutely.
If
Absolutely.
Freya hadn't.
Terrence.
That makes sense because I am so in Freya's shadow. I'm probably not getting wet from the rain when we go outside. I also got an 11.
All right. Elowen.
May I use an ability of mine called Wild Aspect, where I harness the aspect of one of 3 wild creatures to help me with stealthing?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Would that basically give me advantage, or
What does the spell say?
you harness the aspect of one of 3 wild creatures, gaining heightened physical capabilities?
Oh yeah, I would say that gives you advantage.
Okay. Got a 13.
Oh yeah. And the doctor.
The doctor got a 6.
6. Okay.
Is there any? I know I've been doing a lot, so tell me no if you want to. Is there any chance I could do one more thing as the doctor as well?
Yeah.
I would.
All about it.
I would like to zero AP cast Death Sense, just to see if there's any spirits around. And then, even though the doctor is clearly not very quiet, he would like to lead us as close to the spirits as possible while still staying away. That way, if they do catch a track for us and they don't know and they can't see the spirits, then they're gonna run into them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say you could definitely you can very clearly get a sense for the same sort of lantern entities out there, as well as just sort of like almost like a background radiation of spiritual essence that is inundating this entire carnival ground. But the major thing you see is you can clearly identify where to go to start like whipping through those same stars that you saw before.
Okay.
I'd say because you do that is where this kind of like lower roll comes into play, where you're kind of lagging behind a little bit, which just loses you all a little bit of time, I'll say. But you all would notice Astrid say that she's staying behind. Does anyone say anything to her with that? Or are you too focused on getting out?
Why?
Just go. Just go.
You will catch up. In fact, you hit
Yes,
that
I
in
will.
the head, Astrid.
I say, yes, I just go.
I'm gonna count, and then I'll come back if you're not there by the end of the count.
Okay. So Red is leading you all out a separate exit of the tent, very carefully and quietly. And you get out into this other region of the park. And Red is just carefully kind of like shushing and telling you, like essentially holding his hand up and stopping and then doing a quick go as you're moving amongst like abandoned old structures, wagons, cars even. As you can now see, no longer is there laser pointers, there are lights that are shimmering out from their guns, and there are a lot of them. They are everywhere. And now that they've abandoned their stealth, you would all hear above as a solar ship comes around, and you just see this big as 2 spotlights shoot out from it and start to move about the park. Astrid, you are remaining behind, trying to listen for the Viren core outside on the other side of the tent, right?
Mm-hmm. And my stealth roll was an 8.
Thank you.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, you are distracted, I imagine, and not necessarily being as careful as you normally would be. more so like haphazardly, like just like standing next to a something that's not really hiding you. And you see, I'll give you a choice.
Okay.
Either you're immediately discovered by the Virian troopers, we'll say, right out there. Or they hear the noise of you coming from that direction, and they begin to investigate in that direction, which means they're heading in the direction of your friends.
Fuck. It's a difficult choice, Sean.
That's what they call them.
But I think about letting them go towards my friends for a second, and then I remember the innocence and pure joy that was the moment in the rain, and how happy everybody was for that like 5 minutes. And I choose the first to be immediately discovered.
You slip in the mud, and it's not like you dramatically fall. No, it's just more so like you're crawling and your hand just slips forward and you fall forward, and you just see all these lights just like 7 lights all go onto your hand that's just sitting there in the mud. There's this surreal moment where you're like just like see that you've been discovered.
Okay.
What do you do? You hear the voices of them be like, over there, and you can hear their foot. You hear at least like 1 or 2 gunshots that kind of ring off of the car that you're hiding behind. The rest of you would hear that from behind where Astrid was.
I would like to use 3 of my action points to use Chaos Ball. And that is a small elastic ball that bounces chaotically, shattering small and fragile objects. So I'm just going to huck it in the direction of these troopers.
Okay. Chaos Ball. So
to roll?
I'm going to ask for a roll just to determine a few different things. Okay. It still goes. It's not that it's going to be like a miss or anything, just to determine a few different things.
Yep, makes sense. You want me to roll now, or should I wait?
Yes. No, go ahead and roll. What'd you get? Ooh.
I'm done with that dice.
Can you read me exactly the words of the item, or was that exactly what you already read? Okay, just checking if there's any other features. No. Okay, so you huck this little magic bouncy ball out, and you see like I imagine you dip behind the car as those bullets hit it, and then you just sort of do it like a whoop.
Yep, 100%.
And it's interesting because like the ball, like the way you hucked it, like shouldn't bounce the way it does, but it like bounces off of like the car, and it just sort of like much more oomph than it should have from that bounce as you just start to hear. And you hear like cracking glass and breaking armor, and you hear someone being like, as you look over, and you can see like the lights going up in the air, and you hear like a few just like gunshots because the guys got hit by it, and they're just like they accidentally squeezed the trigger, and they didn't listen to the safety training as they all collapsed down. But despite that, there were already some of them rushing over to you, and you see coming on either side of you are 2 of them who are looking right at you, and they're just pointing their gun at you. And you see one of them shouts at you. You hear this woman's stern woman's voice from behind this mask. They are completely in this like very sleek black armor. Body armor with these helmets on that completely are like smooth overhead that just have these 2 red lines for eyes that come together in a V, like Virian core.
Oh my god.
And she just shouts at you, Where's the damn dog?
I don't know
Where's
what you
the
are
damn
talking.
dog?
I did not see any dog. I do not know what you are talking about. I'm
Terrence.
lost. It's raining. I'm lost. I don't never seen a dog around here.
Back to the rest of you. So you all are
Yes.
pretty far away from this, where you are now. You've been moving to and fro from the cars with Red, but you did hear kind of like the bullets go off in the distance. What would you all like to do?
Time is up. I'm going back for her.
Freya, you're muted.
Freya would also be turning around. Yeah, Freya's shield is out, and Freya has positioned herself in front of Elwyn, but is very clearly, we need to extract her, not fight them. Yes?
I disappear.
Love it.
I cast
Excellent.
Blink. I want to appear right beside Astrid. Okay. I don't even know if this is gonna work. Excuse me, and I give her like an uncle hug, like an appropriate hug, and
Yeah.
then try. I'm willing. My initial offer is triple the power it takes to cast Blink to get two of us back.
Can you read the description for Blink? Just
Blink is vanish and reappear somewhere nearby.
Okay. I would say, I'll allow this if you use triple the points cost.
So
Triple
one
the
to
point
get there and
cost.
3 to get back. So absolutely.
Exactly. Yes.
Thank you.
I do need you to roll me a d20 though.
Oh yeah. That's a 3.
Okay.
You guys, you're literally
These threes?
Well, that's okay.
I put the dice away. I put it away.
Oh, that's okay. I
They
still got this.
They fire off their guns just in time to get you before the magic blinks you away.
Yep. Can I turn and make sure Astrid goes?
Do I have to go with him?
Um,
I'm willing to stay. Just go.
That's a good question. I'd say you can. I'd allow you to resist it. Because I even though they don't have that language in Quest of like willing creature, I still like that being a feature. So I would allow you to be unwilling and make a d20 roll for it.
Okay. Let's see if this dice is any better than the other one.
At this point, the rest of us are coming, right?
Yeah, you're all catching up at this point. You're back in the tent. And you'd probably, once we resolve this, see the blink back. Astrid, what'd you get?
10.
10. Okay.
That's like right down the middle, right?
That's the complicated choice, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Another one?
No, you
God
you
damn
gotta
it.
make it instead of me. Damn it.
So, Astrid,
Yeah.
complicated choice for you.
Another one? I just had one. But all right.
You can stay
Uh-huh.
if you want. That's one choice.
Okay.
If you stay, you're gonna take the gunfire damage.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can go with Terrence, but he will definitely take the gunfire damage if you go with him.
Can I have a second to think about it, or do I have to do it right now?
You kind of have to do it right now.
Fine, I stay.
Ooh.
Okay. So, Terrence, you feel the magic that you were using. Well, actually, let me. Do you perceive this blink as a magical thing or a technological thing?
In this case,
Or
it's
fusion.
magical. Definitely,
Cool,
this
cool,
is
cool.
definitely pure magic.
All right. So, you feel your form apparate and appear, and you kind of squeeze your eyes because you heard the gunshots. And then you open them, and Astrid is not in your arms. Astrid, you take 6 points of damage.
Okay.
as you take 2 solar shots to the chest and gut.
Okay.
You feel all the winds knocked out of your body. You feel this intense, almost bludgeoning damage across your entire chest. You feel bruised organs inside, bruised, cracked ribs. It is a hefty hit from these 2 shots. Like you can barely speak, and you probably fall to your knees at this point.
Yep.
And they pushed me through the portal. I'm all the way back where they started, and they're just getting to her now. Okay.
Yeah, I'd say you kind of are back meeting up with them right where they are.
Okay.
You're all together again.
Oh, I love it. Okay. It's awful, but I love it.
You didn't bring her back.
I tried to save her, and then we got shot, but I didn't get shot, but I felt it, and get her.
Freya puts her hand on Elowen. Why would she be staying?
I don't know and I don't care. I'm going to help her. And I have a question. Since we're here now, do we still hear them talking about, like, where's the dog?
Yeah.
I'd say at this point you could definitely hear them yelling
at
Astrid.
I turn into a corgi. And I'm gonna run out.
Oh my god.
Okay.
I have a problem of heroism and rashfulness, so.
Okay. Yeah. All right. While you're doing that, what is everyone else doing? Astrid, they're yelling at you right now about where the dog is.
Okay. I'm trying to raise my gun, but I don't know how. Or like raise it like I'm not gonna do anything. Like I just want to talk. I just want to talk.
I'd suggest holstering the gun before holding it up like that when they're pointing guns at you.
But it's pointing towards the sky. It's not pointing at anybody. But fine.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's a quick way to get shot.
Yeah. I can't take another hit like that.
I'm unarmed.
I'm armed. Cannot take another hit like that. So fine.
Okay. All right. So Elowen is going to rush out as a corgi. Dr. Terrence Frere, are you doing anything in this moment?
A valid point about my flaw. I am reckless. But I am not. I am trusting Elowen. She seems to know what she's doing, like I was trusting Astrid and regretting it. But yeah, this is Frere is filing that regret away for later, and is going to attempt to sneak around the other side, like try to get to Astrid, while Elowen helps lead them away. And to assist with that, I'm going to use my magic tricks to create a magical effect basically draw attention to Elowen.
I love it.
Possibly just amplify the noise, any of the noises that she's making, presumably like dog barking and rustling of leaves and so forth, to heighten the fact that she is there, while I try and sneak around.
Perfect. That's great. Astrid, you would hear that immediately. Like you would see and hear it. You would see kind of like through the legs of the woman in front of you who's pointing a gun down at you, yelling at you. You would see a corgi running out. And you would hear the sound of that corgi would be amplified as that corgi is running out towards wherever Elowen is going, trying to distract them.
Omnitoads.
Astrid, what do you do when you see this?
What do I do when I see this? I try to. I have another chaos ball. I'm gonna take out another chaos ball, and I'm going to try and huck it through the legs of this trooper that's in front of me, and see if that'll do any better than the last one did.
Okay. So I'll say this trooper looks down at you, and I'm gonna need you to roll me a d20 for this, just because you are surrounded by them. Yes.
I don't want to tell you.
What
You know,
was it?
I don't want to tell you.
Was it a 1?
No, but it was a 4.
Okay.
You're literally killing us.
You
I
you
Does
go to.
inspiration like exist in this game?
It does, but I don't think she's inspired.
No, if anything, it's the opposite.
Exactly.
She's still drunk.
As you reach for this chaos ball, this trooper, this woman is just like, she's all of the authoritarians in your life that you've hated. As you're reaching for this chaos ball, she stomps on your wrist
Ow.
and just cocks the gun towards you and says to the other trooper that's with her, "Go after the dog. I'll stay on her." As that trooper runs off, and you can see any of the troopers who are not unconscious, knocked out from your chaos ball earlier, are chasing Elowen now. Frere, I'd say you are able to sneak around, and you kind of are around the bend of the tent amongst the other debris and ruin, and you do see this woman who has her boot on Astrid's arm and her gun pointed at the back of her head as she's in the mud.
I find the largest, heaviest blunt object I can, and come in for a strike in the back of the head.
I love it. Roll me a d20.
Oh yes. I rolled my special dice. This is my dice that I got from my wife for Christmas. It has a yeet where the 20 should be. I just got a natural yeet.
Yes.
I was hoping for this.
Yes.
So, because it's a natural
Excellent.
20, I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna flavor this that the exo armor activates, but I'm not gonna require you to spend an action point for this.
Yeah, have that.
And you
Nice.
come up, and I'm gonna say this is what happens. And feel free to add whatever flavor you want to it after I've described what I think happens here. You come stepping forward as this woman has the gun to Astrid's head, and you can hear her. She's like being mean to Astrid too, and saying like, "You're just a roughneck rat. Thinks that you can get in the way of the core. Oh, we could kill you right now, and no one in the world would know."
As she's stepping up.
Yeah.
Can I say one thing really quick
Yeah, I'll
before
let
that
you say
happens?
one thing.
Okay, as she's on my hand, I'll just look up at her face covered in mud and say, "I do not want to get in the way."
She cocks her head confused at that as you hear screeching of metal as Frere rips a door off of one of these ruined cars and brings it over, and you see this woman does raise the gun and kind of like to shoot, and it just bounces off of the car door as Frere just then takes it and just yeets her, and it just cracks across her face as you see she goes flying because she's using the exo armor, and you see her
my
body
intent
just
is to smack her
slams.
down into the ground. So she's just sort of like just
Love it.
Yeah.
You see her legs accordion essentially as she's smacked
God.
down to the ground, and you can hear her scream in pain as you hear the cracking of her bones in her legs.
Oh.
Then you see a side of Freya that you've never seen before. Freya takes her spear and just puts it down through the joints in this woman's neck armor.
You hear a quick and concise end to the scream.
She then picks up the woman's gun and says, "Shall we?"
At
I-
this point,
Yeah, go
sorry,
ahead.
at this
Go ahead.
point, is
No,
there
no,
any
go
way
ahead.
that the doctor can be there at this point?
Yeah, absolutely.
As you pick up the gun, like the doctor doesn't really blink at everything that you did, but he does like look down at the body and say, "Let's can you take the body too?"
Apparently I'm still. I have activated my armors, my power armor. So I go. I can, and flick it up onto my shoulder. It is presumably lighter than an elephant. Let us go.
It is grisly how ragdoll this body is over Freya's shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
Gross.
Freya
Okay.
does not seem bothered by that, but yeah.
All right, so the lot of you catch back up with Red, who's been staying hidden this whole time inside the tent. And you can... What do you want to do at this point? Do you want to keep moving out and hope that Eloin can get away from them?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Eloin.
Don't.
You
fuck
are
this up.
so... Yeah, so the lot of you are essentially returning back to the way that Red was leading you, hoping you can sneak by the rest of the Virian Corps. So I will need stealth checks from the rest of you. Eloin, you're running through, and you feel the rain against your face. You feel the adrenaline pumping through your corgi body as you're terrified as you hear gunshots and you hear the boots chasing you. What is your strategy? What would you like to do?
I'm trying to go towards the omnitoads because basically what I want to do is I want to lead them there to that area and like basically kind of just skid through the mud once I get to that opening and then immediately like turn into a frog.
Nice.
All right. That's actually
Nice.
really,
Very
really
nice.
good.
Brilliant.
Really smart.
That's really good. So I'll ask for a d20 roll for this endeavor as they're
Okay.
chasing you. The one thing that's that you do have kind of like that's good here is that like not good for the rest of them is that the majority of the Virian Corps is on the other side of the tent now. Go ahead and roll.
Gonna use my big guns.
Come
I'm in danger.
I'm gonna give you advantage because this is a very, very good.
Nice.
Yay! Okay.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Yay.
That was a shaky okay.
Because that first one was not good. That second one is it's a 12.
Okay. It's a rough chase, though. I'll say you do succeed, but it's a rough chase. And you see they're not shooting at a certain point when they get closer to you. They're not shooting at you. You see that they are engaging another part of their gun and they're firing. And you see these large, almost like electrified nets shooting out towards you. And you're kind of like with corgi-like agility, avoiding them, maybe here and there, getting a little stunned by them, but making your way through. As you particularly dip underneath a car, dash towards the woods. In this moment, they have to separate because there's such a pile of detritus there that when they get to the other side, you'd have an opportunity to tumble into the woods and turn yourself into a frog.
Amazing.
This is my frog stance.
As you see them slowly start to enter into the forest looking for you. But they do not see you, or at least they see, if they do see you, you're a frog.
And a frog.
Amazing.
Time to follow after
The
my
rest of
friends.
you, what were those stealth rolls?
Can I have advantage too, please?
No.
Okay.
If I had
So-
disadvantage, I couldn't get any worse. So I had a nat one.
Oh no. I got a 6, so I'm done with this dice too.
I got a 7, so it's not much better.
Oh, Jesus
no.
Christ!
Yeah.
Rare.
I also got
Rare.
a 6. Probably because I'm carrying a dead body for someone else.
In an inside a giant robot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
So-
yeah.
Red got a natural 20.
Oh,
Okay.
thanks, Red. Let's pick
Red's
up all the
home.
slack.
That's all the doctor cares about. Get Oscar out of here.
So, you all are moving through where Red is leading you. And it's that very much that, like, he goes and then you all follow. And there's just a point when he says, now, and he moves across. And as you all step through, particularly the doctor, So I'm gonna actually say for those of you who got 6, 7, and 6, those who technically got difficult choice, I'm gonna give you a difficult choice. You can one of two things. You can either stay and be caught with the doctor in that immediate line of sight, or you can stay concealed behind the car, but they for sure know that you're there. And you have a chance to maybe slip away. Granted, you'd be leaving the doctor high and dry a little bit. But they do know that they can kind of essentially guess your numbers. They know that it's not just the doctor who slipped into the mud. So you have a choice to either stay with the doctor in the light, or kind of be somewhat stuck in this spot and have a chance to maybe think of an alternative solution.
Is there is it like it's a spotlight that's like zeroed in on us?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So like
Cool.
Essentially like the gun flashlights pointed, and then the solar ships, one of their spotlights pointed over, and you can see like the doctor is just straight up in the light. You can just sort of see the silhouette. It's blinding to look. You can't see how many of them are pointing guns at him. You can see Red on the other side, who is looking. Like Red's not going. Like Red's like, despite his natural 20, Red is almost doing a self-imposed check here of like tough decision. He doesn't want to leave you all.
I'll sign to him, go, and I'll stay.
Yeah,
being
I
in
will
the
also
light
say.
can. Okay, being in the light, the doctor's gonna be waving you, but obviously your choice. Please make it.
Okay. So
I will stay. I start walking back towards the doctor. I would like to do one thing as I do, like it's hands up. I got no weapons anyway. The only thing I've got is the baton, and I've never drawn it. So hands up, but I would like to speak on the flying machine pilot, and just in his ear, in a very loud voice, he hears missile alert, missile alert, missile alert.
Huh.
And I'm hoping that he like takes evasive
Very cool.
action and use that as a distraction.
Very cool.
I like that idea. Give me a D20 roll for that.
Come on, Gavin.
8.
Ah!
I think I know what this means. I think this is a difficult decision. I love this game. Oh, I love this game.
So the difficult decision here is to keep things interesting. The difficult decision is, I'm going to say this works to a certain extent, but there's a setback that happens from it. So difficult decision. 1, the pilot becomes so overwhelmed both by having magic penetrate his mind, but also with the threat of missile, that he fucks up his evasive maneuvers, gets caught in some of the detritus trees and Ferris wheel, and causes some catastrophe.
Oh no.
Okay.
Or or
Definitely that one.
or the it does kind of set in, and they do kind of maneuver a little bit, and there is kind of the light is shaking and maybe giving you an opportunity to dash, but they in that moment of panic, they accidentally start firing the guns on the ship, and that has a chance of hitting you, but it also has a chance of hitting their own folks.
Number 2, definitely. Absolutely. I actually start waving. Trying to get them to shoot at me.
I have an additional there. Then, if I may, I would like to cast Scintillate, which is basically a bolt of. I would like to shoot the bulb out of the spotlight.
Ooh, I love that. Yes, absolutely. Okay, Terrence, I'm sorry, you chose the second option where the guns go off?
The guns go off. Yep, absolutely. Hoping that the rest of the party will take the message and run. Yes.
Okay. So what I'll need from everyone is I'll need everyone to roll me a d20.
Okay.
I know there's numbers above 9 on this thing. I saw them earlier today.
Are there
Nope, there's
propellers
another
on
9.
these planes?
Yes, they're essentially sort of like pseudo plane helicopters. They've got like essentially sort of like two wings that come out that have propellers in them.
Would you say that there are bolts that are tightened and holding them on?
Most definitely.
Okay. To add to
The mayhem.
scintillate the mayhem, yes, because just
Oh, yeah.
chaos magnet. I would like to cast loosen. And when I do that, that loosens things that are fastened or tightened. So I want to loosen the bolts on the propellers.
Okay, I love it. I like to imagine, since Astrid is so technical in her approach, that this is some gadget you have.
For sure.
That
Go,
you
go,
pull
gadget
out.
Lucy thing.
Okay, so a lot of things are happening all at once, and I'm going to narrate them into a tight scene. So you hear these soldiers, these troopers are all moving towards you to acquiesce you, grab you. It's in that moment that the light starts to as Terrence has cast this magic into the man's head, and you start to hear.
Oh yes.
As you hear that, Frere, you immediately cast your spell. The light goes out, everything goes dark, but the only light you're really seeing is the light of the solar shots that are coming down. Astrid, it's in that exact moment you pull out, you grasp onto your wrist, a contraption goes over your hands, and your fingers kind of are maneuvering, and you can see this sort of like magnetic electricity throughout, as you would all hear the shaking metal of the solar copter. As that is also kind of like one of the only lights. You can see her face lighting up in blue. As you see just it is coming down, and it is coming towards you and beyond you. I need. Did everyone roll their d20s?
Nope. Ah!
13. I'm going to start with a good one straight off the bat. 13.
Yeah.
Fuck all of you. 13.
I'm out.
I am running, but I've got the body across my shoulders, and I've also slung my shield, and I'm using them to shield myself, but also I am making using my body to shield Astrid. And trying to propel her in front of me.
Okay. Astrid, what'd you get then? 2. Okay. So I'm going to say that this is a small, difficult choice for Frere. I'm going to ask you, do you want to take the shot, or do you want Astrid to take the shot? Okay.
I will take the shots for Astrid.
All right, then Frere, you take 3 points of damage.
Yep.
Okay. Terrence, what'd you got in your roll?
I got a 9. However, I was standing in the spotlight going, "Wah!" So I'm probably sort of not even. I probably shouldn't have even rolled, to be fair. So
Elowen is a toad. Doctor, what did you roll?
Got a 12.
Okay, all right, nice. We got 2 above 10. That's the record.
Woo!
go team.
My
Remember
dice
It's so
are
funny.
growing.
Because last session we were being like, it's so easy to succeed in this. It's just an 11 or higher.
We jinxed it. We jinxed it.
50%.
Okay, Terrence, you also are going to take 3 points of damage. Red is also going to take 3 points of damage as he rolled a 2.
Oh no!
And you can see, and the copter goes crashing beyond you all. You see one of the spotlights was still on, so you see it just sort of like whipping wildly as it hits into the trees, and there's immediately fire lighting up this whole space. As you can see, several of the troopers have also been shot. You can see some that are barreling towards you all from a distance, though they are far away. This is your chance for escape. What do you all do?
I send a message to. I use an action point to. So a message is fairly flexible. You can either cast it for 0 AP, and it just happens, but you have to be able to see the person. But you burn an AP if you want them to be able to talk back. You can also burn an AP if you don't know where they are. And so this is to Elowen, which is and saying we are telling her which direction we're heading, and we will send Flicker for her.
Noticeably, you haven't seen Flicker at all.
Yeah.
Flicker did not return from their scans.
Oh. Or I will send something else to find her. Yeah.
Okay. This is so this is the situation. You all, the explosion happened. There's fire now. There are still troopers who know where you are and who are coming towards you. You see one of them hold out their hand and tap on something, and then shoot out this orb that starts to just I'm too animated. And you essentially see this red light that goes out and just seems to be doing a massive scan of the area. This is all kind of been a massive skill challenge. So this is kind of the final skill challenge of escaping altogether, essentially. And basically, it's exactly like a skill challenge in D&D. Just tell me what you want to do to help you escape, and we'll roll for it. So we'll go one by one, but before that, I want to check in with Elwyn.
Can I use my last 2 action points to steal Sprout and turn a nearby metal object into a weave of delicate plants and turn that thing that they just threw up into plants?
Ooh, I like that.
So
the one problem is you're pretty far away from everyone.
Okay, I didn't know where I was.
Yeah, so to put it this way, you guys essentially ran in the opposite directions. So, like, you're on the complete opposite side of the carnival, while they're on the edge on the other side.
Damn it. Okay.
You wouldn't really be able to see this. It's sort of a strange situation where you're going to have to... You can't really help them right now. You're really just helping yourself. Yeah. Although you do notice, you do hear the distinct sounds of... as you see these soldiers sort of slowly start to shoot at the frogs.
Yes.
I'll take it. We're doing such a great job, guys.
Oh yeah. Considering it's all one frog. Oh.
Those of you who are on the other side, what are you doing?
I will use, as soon as I see that drone, for lack of a better word, pop up, the collapsible baton comes out. It deploys full length, and instead of just LRPD down the side, it now says Lacuna Reef Police Department, because it's long enough for all the letters. and then hold it out like almost like a shotgun and charge it and squeeze a hidden trigger and use Magic Strike. I will burn 2 action points to shoot this thing. The drone out of the air. It's and it's just because it's me. It's a non-lethal rubber bullet.
Love it.
But it still does damage.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. And because you spend action points, you don't have to roll for it, so it does hit the thing. While that happens, everyone else, what are you doing? Kind of do everything one at a time.
Oh, and then run like hell. That's a follow-up part of that. Yeah.
I'm gonna shout.
Go ahead.
No, Astrid. No.
Nope.
All right.
You go.
I'm gonna use. I love Whisper. I'm gonna use Whisper, but it's gonna be more like shout. I'm going to do my best impression mentally of the way the woman the dead woman on my shoulder speaks, into the minds of like at least a half dozen other guys, saying that way, like, you fools, they're over there. But I'm timing it till after, like, we're not fully visible anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. So if Kevin's thing works, then I'll bother with that. That's all I can really think of to help.
all good. So we got rubber bullet, and we've got Whisper. Doctor, what are you doing?
The doctor is pretty spent at this point, so while he's running away, he's just going to grab a piece of debris and chunk it like in a random direction so it makes leaves rustle. Just to maybe draw 1 or 2 people.
Okay. And Astrid, what are you doing?
So I want to use, I don't know how to pronounce this, bricolage.
Bricolage. That sounds right.
Bricolage.
Bricolage.
Yeah. Okay. improvise one of 4 useful devices using everyday objects nearby. It's 1 action point. I have 3 left, so I will burn as many as I need to. Are we still near that car?
Yeah, there's a bunch of cars around you. So
Okay.
like there's just sort of like you're essentially running through like the abandoned parking lot area of this carnival towards the forest.
Okay.
Are you gonna
I
fix
don't
a
know.
That'd be interesting.
So I would like to try to fix the car, but if that doesn't work, then I want to use the like try and maneuver to get the headlights, the high beams to come on, and try and just like cast light in the direction that the hunk of metal went. But trying to get it started first so we can have a sweet getaway car.
I love it. All right, I'm gonna ask everyone to roll me a d20 for each of their things.
I already had to put 3 aside. I'm on my 4th d20 for tonight.
I am, just so you know, I am also rolling a 1d20 for the soldiers for what they're trying to do.
Sure.
What are they
You
trying
said
to do?
if we burned action
Us.
points, we don't have to. Was that the? Or you
Still roll
want
a
us to roll?
d20.
Okay.
Your thing is gonna hit. It's just a matter of determining sort of the flavor and effectiveness.
I would love for Astrid to be able to do this so I could just splat on the windshield like as a frog. I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Good.
How many action points, Sean, do you want? I have 3 left.
To start up a car, I'm gonna say all 3,
That's fair.
or however many you have.
3. I have 3. You can. I can go negative if you want. I really want to try and get the car started. All right.
All right, Frere, what did you get?
So, an 11.
Okay. Terrence, what'd you get?
An 18.
Nice.
Finally
Hell
rolled.
yeah.
There it is.
Astrid, I think I heard a 16.
16.
Wow. Guys are defying expectations.
Fucking finally.
We're just bringing it closer to average
Numbers,
rolls.
Smoothing the curve. Smoothing the curve.
Statistically,
Wait a minute.
this
Probably
is
shouldn't say that.
And
Come on, Zazix.
Doctor.
Yeah, I stayed on trend with everyone else. 19.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Good job, everybody.
Is
And Elowen?
total.
Is a frog.
Elowen is a frog. She rolled frog.
Natural
You
ribbon.
crush this challenge here. These are great rolls all around. No bad rolls. So Terrence fires off this rubber bullet. It absolutely wrecks, shoots right through this thing. It comes collapsing to the ground with a spark, significantly crippling their ability to track you. So much so that it is a pretty big deal, actually. And you, as that happens, you hear as Astrid has tenuously gotten this car to start, to the point where it'll move for a little while. You might have to abandon it at some point, but it's definitely can drive and has enough room for everybody. And as you're all kind of hop in this car to make your escape, Frere and the doctor do their thing. Frere's whisper, the doctor's debris throw to distract and try to pull folks away. You pull the car out and start driving it out of this spot. You are driving
convertible.
Fuck yes,
Oh,
a
yeah, sure.
convertible.
Sure, it's a
I
convertible.
specifically looked for a convertible. I wouldn't start anything else other than a convertible.
And you're peeling out of here. You hear soldiers running after you and chasing after you. You hear gunshots. You see some of these nets shoot out too, as they are still desperately trying to capture Oscar, as Red is kind of holding Oscar in his lap now, as they are running after you. But you're too fast for them. Their ship has been destroyed, and you make your escape into the night.
Floor it. I'm 100% driving. Floor it.
We got Red and Oscar too, right? They're in with us.
Yes, Red and Oscar are in
Okay,
there too.
good. Yeah, we're just waiting for the dog to show up. Yeah, our
yes.
dog, not
The
their dog.
frog.
Your
The
pup.
frog.
The frog dog. Yes.
Splash.
For dog.
Eluin.
Yeah.
Eluin,
Yeah.
what's your plan to get meet back up with them? Are you just going to sneak away or wait until the Virion Corps leaves?
No, I'm probably gonna try to sneak away to try to find them and get to them like immediately.
Okay. Eloin, as you're sneaking away, I'm assuming various animal forms, there's almost a sadness as you leave the forest area because the Virion Corps killed all the frogs and toads.
Oh.
They suffered. Like, there's definitely, you see these Virion Corps ripping their helmets off and they're vomiting and their faces are red and tight and they're grasping at their throats. But you could just see just sort of like they just as there's just a you see another ship lands in the middle where they are gathering who's survived this mess. You see stepping out as you're kind of sneaking away, you see stepping out is a well-dressed man, a corpo figure, one might say, wearing a floral blazer. As he steps out closer, you can see most of him is mechanical. You can see some vestige of humanity in his eyes, in the sense that he has kind of like this opening here where there are human eyes, but the rest is this sleek metal and sort of this simulacrum of a face on there with like a little like pointed metal goatee that comes off of it, and just like a mixture of bronze and steel and gold, as he just sort of steps over some of the bodies of his troopers and is just looking around before he just sort of like grabs the gun from one of the troopers with him and just sort of like fires it off into the distance as you can hear this almost like semi-robotic raging scream from him as he starts screaming at these troopers about, and the only thing you're really catching is that fucking dog. And that's where we're gonna end tonight. All right, folks.
Well done, everybody.
We've gone a little bit over the 12 o'clock end time, so we're going to do real quick favorite moments from everyone for each other. Let's start with favorite moments. Let's do this Humblewood style. It's a little more efficient. Let's start with Astrid. Say everyone can share their favorite moments for Astrid, and Shannon, if you had a favorite moment of your own, you can share that as well.
Okay.
The decision to get shot. It's like, damn it, I'm trying to save you. Oh shit. And now there's a very short explanation attached to that. He knows Astrid is of smuggler ilk, and it was absolutely his plan to follow you after this was over and kill as many fucking smugglers as he could lay his hands on to make up for what they did to him. And now he's rethinking that. So it was a big moment for several reasons. It was a great scene, and it also was this defining moment for not only your character, but for mine too. So yeah, that was mine.
Amazing.
The booties.
Hey. Doggy booties.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. The raincoat, yes, the raincoat was great, but the booties made it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotta protect the toe beans, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think mine for Astrid was same exact thing as not getting shot, but the decision not to like go and get teleported, basically.
I love that
love the
because
car.
I'm like, the car, amazing.
The car was so
MacGyvering the car.
Was inspired by I've been listening to Fantasy High from Dimension 20, and they just had a raging car chase, and it was
I know that
amazing.
episode. It's a really good chase.
Oh, so good. So yeah, that's where my head was at.
I loved the decision not to get yeeted back out of there because I was like, why not? why resist that? That one for me. That was just like, whoa.
Because again, out of character, I still had an out. I still had another thing I could have done to get away.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that for sure. All right.
Yeah.
Who should we talk about next? Or Shannon, do you have a favorite moment of your own?
Sure. I mean, just kind of navigating my way through the last half of that, because I knew I had something I wanted to do, but I had no fucking clue how I wanted to do it. So
Yeah.
was just instant decision after instant decision. That was fun.
Yeah, I would say that was my favorite too. Is like, because I knew you messaged me and were asking about something, and I knew you would have no idea what you were doing, and I
No,
thought you
none.
did a great job of trying your best to do something. That was which is very interesting. All right. Why don't we go with Waffles? What are some folks' favorite moments from Zaxix this
The
session?
rain touching your gem, and like that's your sensation of feeling. Like that was really cool. Really, really cool.
Oh yeah.
The ritual. Knowing as a
Yeah.
player that this is probably going to mess things up so badly, and yet still going, my character, it's a my character would do this moment, that you did it right. You didn't just go, oh, my character would do this and then do something stupid. There was a reason, and you thought you were helping and you didn't, and that just made it that much more epic. I love that scene.
I really liked when you talked with Oscar and Red just about like their stuff and how you connected with them, like through their own like injuries and afflictions with your own. I really liked that moment.
I really liked the decision to not when you were given the difficult decision to like either help Oscar or when Red was trying to shield it, and you were like, nah, that's not even really a choice. Red would definitely just not. And I'm like, I adore it when, I very much agree with everybody else. I adore it when players make choices that are mechanically bad for their, like, make sense, but they are not helpful. And yeah, I adored that. That was really cool.
Yeah, I would agree. I would second that. Third that. Like it's one of the things I love about Quest is the difficult choice mechanic, because it feels very like Mass Effect Paragon Renegade to a certain extent, except it's not exactly good bad. But it is like another player would have very easily could have just been like, no, I'm gonna push through Red's defense, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I really respect having the making that decision to withhold and take the cold shoulder. Do you have any favorites for Zaxix, Waffles?
I'm not gonna say a moment, but I'm gonna give insight to something that like slightly out of character. So the ritual, and I'm sure it might come up in the next episode, it might not, but when I have it in my brain, and I told Sean and everything, when Zaxix does these rituals and even like some of his minor healing powers and stuff, it is taking years off of his life if he were ever to get back to his body.
Very cool.
So
Very cool.
Very
Reason not to
intriguing.
cast. That is very nice.
Love it.
Oh,
All
a
right.
reason to throttle in the powers. I love it. Oh, again, those negative mechanical decisions, right?
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Kevin next. What are folks' favorite moments for Terrence?
The missile alert was very clever. Like just
It was.
casting into just, I mean, that whole skill challenge was brilliant, but like I really loved that moment of just like to make it to not attack the people directly in front of us, but try and go from the top down, which was really cool.
Yep. Thank you.
I have a cheap out on this one. I'm gonna say, honestly, the whole episode, just
No.
watching like the whole episode as progress, I guess. Watching Terrence go from, yeah, I'm kind of being your friend, let's talk to Rain, to I'm about to give myself up for y'all and get shot over the course of one episode.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
I like the character arc. Yeah. I actually have the ability to absolutely, completely, and utterly piss off at any moment.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I've got gate. If I got
Rage.
3 AP left, I'm gone. If we're this is always the standing option. So yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the tablet. I love the utility you get out of this little thing, using it to communicate with Red, and yeah, his I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Oh gosh, was like, you get the vibe that he's an ass, but he's not actually as much of an ass as he seems. Yeah, I enjoy him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really like that mess up scene of just you grab the thing and it's just like, well, you're just kind of rolling with it. So I really like that moment.
That was great. Yeah, I really enjoy Terry's, like, I'm calling him Terry now. Terry's
Terry
just
incognito. It's right there. Yeah.
Exactly. I love the way he I really love the way that it's like Terry comes off as this asshole sometimes, but then like in the scenes with Red and Oscar, Terry is like using a different set of skills and presenting this more affable side, this good cop, one might say, to get these little things that he wants, and I love it. Like Terry is like a not as gritty and gross Rorschach from The Watchmen. In a lot of ways, and I think that's really interesting, and and that's the thing, is like all of these characters I just think are so interesting, and I'm curious about all of their stories. All right, let's talk about Freyr.
The feast. I loved your creativity with the feast. That was very, very inspiring. I almost was like, where's our immune to poison? Where's our advantage on wisdom saves?
There goes half my AP just before a fight.
Mine for Freyr was the just I can't even remember the word, but the word you used to describe the rain, just like seeing that side. Yeah, just seeing that side of Freyr. It's kind of like the naivety meets like deeply intelligent kind of thing.
She's smart, she just doesn't know much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That ties in with mine, definitely. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, please.
No. I'll happily go last. I have several.
It ties in really well with mine though, because it was that series of moments actually where I went through the process and as Terrence, as Freyr's a Buddhist. No, wait. Freyr is Buddha. No, wait. Freya is Freya from the Norse traditions. Oh shit. And it was that progression of just leaking just little bits of information to this information pig that is Terrence, right? And he's just like he's seen 3 things and he's now decided you're a god. So I love that little
amazing
exactly, yeah, Freyr, exactly. The spelling's right there. It's every bit as obvious as Terry incognito, and it took me this long to figure it out. So
thank you. It's not what I was going for.
But
I'll take it. It's a fair point, and now I'll lean in. Yeah, I think my favorite moment that hasn't already been said, because I had a joy. It was a joy being. I have 2, but it was a joy being Freyr today. Was.
Yeah, that was excellent.
And it was entirely because of what she was saying to Astrid. Freyr was just going to render her docile, but it was like, I could kill you at any moment. Freyr's just like, same.
I love it.
Cute. Yeah, freaking. I love the whole rain scene, but then I also have to say that I loved when the Dr. Ash is like, "Can you take the body?" And Freyr's just like,
Yes,
"Yeah, I can." And just picks it up. Just like,
I gotta say, I love Freyr's just like general curiosity, but also like I really love the scene. And someone said this in chat also, and yeah, like we said in chat, throw your favorite moments in as well, chat. The elephant, just wanting that elephant and talking to Red and being like, take the night off from cooking, just work on the elephant. It was just really sweet, and that's what I love about Freyr is there's this curious sweetness, but mixed with this like badass that's in there. That particularly came to a point then with the which is great.
Yeah. There was a tiny element of, well, she's in enormous pain.
Yeah, that's there too.
Let's put that out of there for her as well, but also don't be a dick.
Okay. Let's talk about Elowen. Favorite moments for Elowen.
Your innocence is so damn cute. Oh my god. I loved everything about your performance tonight, but the first half with just, what's rain? I've never seen this before. This is awesome. And just like you did such a good job portraying that childlike wonder. It was excellent. Yes, a cinnamon bun. That's absolutely what you are. You are a cinnamon bun. Party cinnamon bun.
Penguins and frogs.
Absolutely.
Oh, the penguins.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that was so sweet.
The Elowen drunk was probably gonna be the moment until you said the magic phrase, I turn into a frog. And it's like just mic drop the night right there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Like
lead them into the psychedelic field and then just sit there and wait for all hell to break loose.
Yep.
I loved being in that scene with you because my favorite moment was you turning into the corgi, because
So smart.
Firstly, it was a really smart idea, and secondly, it was because Freya had trusted Astrid rather just a moment before, and it had massively backfired as far as Freya is concerned, and now Freya has to like, no, I have to watch out for this one because she's obviously an idiot. But we had bonded in the rain, and Freya was like, okay, let's see if we can trust Elowen, and you proved Freya right about you, and Freya was like, cool, at least one of them isn't an absolute idiot. So Freya has Astrid's back, but Freya is confident that Elowen has hers, and that was I adored that. It was a solid choice, but I adored it for my own character's reasons.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think mine was definitely gonna be the corgi, but honestly, I think the rain scene just really, again, I always gravitate towards scenes that, like, if you took that scene out of the show, it would just explain your character.
Yeah.
And that was one of them for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah, I adored the selflessness of Elowen in running out as the corgi. You know, both you and Astrid threw. I was half expecting Astrid's though, threw wrenches into like my plans for this encounter, and I was doing rapid story changes in my head as this was all happening to be like, okay, well then this could happen now, and that's going to change the finale entirely. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. That's a nice thing. I was going in my head over and over in the last half hour. It's like, oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. But then the intelligence and strategy to be like, I want to get to the omnifrogs. In my head, I was like, oh yeah, because they're dangerous. And then it's like, and then I want to turn into a frog. And I was like, hell yes, that is actual good, like great plan to escape these soldiers. Brilliant, amazing stuff. Some stuff in chat. We got penguins and frogs, of course. I love when Elowen turns into a penguin. We got
nice attempted deflection. Let's talk about our favorite scenes from
Yeah,
Sean
about our
tonight.
DM. Yep.
Nice attempt. Nice try.
Yep.
I
Yeah, nice
am
try.
very transparent.
Yep. I love Red. I love the character that you developed for him, and knowing you, I know you have a whole backstory for him. And I loved the scene with Elowin when he was showing his creations and just showing such, again, childlike wonder again, you know, with Elowin, and that was just, it melted my heart. I'm sorry I betrayed him.
Yeah. My favorite Sean would be pretty much riding on the same. I loved Oscar. I have so many questions. I loved that Red said no to being fixed, and Oscar, who has significantly potentially more to lose and is presumably smart enough to realize that she could get Dom, chose to go with it. Like, oh my god, I have so many questions. I need to know so much. Freya is so curious. Like sitting in the back of the car now, and I was like, so can you think better? What do you remember? Tell me everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I really love the roleplay moment between Elowin and Red too, because I love Red. It's just big man, and I'm drawing him because I have to, because I really like him.
I love the splash of the water on his face.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Red is I'm very pleased with Red. He's one of my favorite NPCs I've ever made.
Waffles, what do you reckon?
Makes me very happy. Yeah.
Yeah, not to keep from echoing the ritual one. I think the way, like from GM to GM, the way you set up the combat, in particular, what really stuck out to me was the first I'll air quote it round was, yeah, you see like 5 or 6 lasers. It would be hard, but you think you could take 5 or 6. And then like the next round or two, it was, nah, there's like 300, you know, like.
Yep. Oh god.
Yeah, I was like I have not really run, so like combat in Quest is it's very simple, and it's the system lends itself more to sort of a skill challenge style for those types of things than a classic kind of gridded combat encounter. So I kind of just like leaned into that and be like, all right, well then we can play more creatively with this, and there can be like, I don't have to necessarily think about balance. I could just have there be like 60 of these soldiers out there, and it's how you deal with them. And that was really fun. And I went in with this like very different imagination of how that scene was going to play out, and I'm very happy with how it ended up instead. Awesome job, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
I really like the way. So I didn't get a chance yet to tell you how great you were.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Stop deflecting,
My
Sean.
deflection.
Yeah,
Stop
he's
it.
good at it, isn't it? I mean, he's really, really good.
So good at it.
But sit still for a minute. The Oscar and Red, the duo. I was really enjoying playing the detective and just trying to pick this apart. And you so had me covered. I never felt like I had a chance of seriously breaking that puzzle. And that's it was perfect for the story. And that I'm still not done. As long as Oscar's not on the brink of death, I still need to figure out exactly what's going on with those two collars. But that particular one, to let me just go in there and just try and pick holes in it, like Shannon said, she knows I haven't played with you before, but it was obvious that your NPCs have these backstories. You didn't have to think. You knew exactly what they were going to do, and that depth of world is a joy to play in. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And yes, I am pretty good at ducking praise.
Sure are.
Some other things in there, setting that combat scene, keeping up with chaos. Yes, it was very chaotic. The rain scene, yeah, I think everyone can agree the rain scene was beautiful. And when that solipsism word came out, I was like, all right, my turn for a word. This genius dog knows. Yeah. Oh, the Emperor's New Groove reference.
Yes, that
That's in
was
there. That's a good one.
excellent. Yay, I'm a llama kid.
Wanting to pet the dog, but you were unconscious. So generally, just Shannon moment of being unable to contain her stuff, which is rare for Shannon to not be able to stay in character for a moment. And then, yeah, Waffles. If Astrid couldn't find a convertible, yeah, we're fucked. We're so many good things. Well, thank you so much, folks. This has been a lovely night. I've enjoyed every second of Ardenquest with you all. Thank you so much. Let's do a quick, very, very rapid round of who you are and where we can find you, because we are way over. So let's just do that real quick. Kelsey.
Hi, I'm Kelsey. I'm also Roguzu on Twitter and on YouTube. I draw things. I talk about how I used to be a DM. I've been Elwood.
Josh.
I am Josh the Pirate. I have been here on Roll for Damage, and I usually am. I'm here on Monday nights where I DM the Humblewood game. I also program One Shot Wednesdays. This coming Wednesday, we have an Avatar game. So using the new Avatar Legends system. It is a 6-shot DM'd by my sibling Rhythm, who is really cool, and it's going to be playing with Matt from Split the Party, and AJ, and Dan Swelto, and Axel Bevington. So that's going to be really exciting. And then this Thursday, I have session 2 of my new Humblewood game set in the same world, but it's a different party over on Corsair's Cove, my new channel. Also, if you like my face and voice, you can check out Pop Erotica at Fringe, and the D&D podcast I'm in, There Be Dragons, where I play the infamous and deadly pirate Scan Felspar. Und his little dragon, Rush. Yeah. Little dragons, very mean. Poor Kenya.
I love it.
Oh.
All right, Kevin, where can we find you?
Oh, Dirty 20 Gaming, Twitch and YouTube is the fastest way to get to us. Plus, where we'd really like to see you is at the Discord, because it's an amazing community of people over there that are super supportive, and I will be stealing this game format from you so quickly. But yeah, you can find us Dirty 20 Gaming anywhere that counts.
Love it. Thank you. Shannon.
Hello, I am from Paradise RPG, and I play Scarlet over there. I'm usually a rogue, but tonight I've been your fledgling engineer who's just a raging teenager. So I can't wait to see what happens next week.
Yeah. And Waffles.
Hi, I'm Wafflesmaplesyrup. Basically Wafflesmaplesyrup, one word, anywhere, Twitch, YouTube, podcast, etc., etc.
Lovely. And I have been Sean, your guide for the evening in the quest system in my homebrew world of Arden, solar punk, fun stuff. You can find me at Paradise RPG as well, where I am the DM for our flagship show and probably a future show set in this universe.
It's gonna happen.
This has been a pleasure tonight. I think we're probably going to raid someone now.
Yeah.
And I'll let Josh take it away.
Yeah, guys, we are going to raid, let's say Dorktales is playing D&D, so let's go over there and chuck up your raid emotes. Tell them where you came from. Dorktales. Yeah.
I love that! Dorktales!
I would like to register with our audience, and I just want to make sure that it's absolutely fine with everybody else, but we're actually going to be an hour early next week. We are going to be going live with this show an hour early next week, because I fucked up a little bit and I'm going to a wedding that afternoon, so I need to leave early.
Dare you.
It's my bad, and I apologize for it. Dork Tales, there we are. So yeah, we will go and raid them. Chuck up your favorite raider modes in chat, tell them where you came from, and we will hopefully see you very, very soon. Monday night, Humblewood, or this week, or the same here, back this same time, same place, earlier time next week. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Stream. Transition.